Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
How do we do this? It's been a poke. It's been a week since our last live broadcast, and I don't know, luckily our keys to the building still work, and nobody was manning the soundboard, so here we sat, and we're damn happy to be back with our gorgeous listening audience. Welcome to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. Got a couple of text messages right away, Josh, that have my spirits picked up. You know, it's not always easy coming back to work.
I'd use my GPS. I forgot how to get here.
How to get here, how to get in the building. It's not always easy. Even after just a regular weekend, we had a week to ourselves, but a couple of text messages right away. These folks, you knocked it out of the park. Fireplace Jesus texted in something for me personally, where it says, "Welcome back, F-boy."
You've always wanted to be an F-boy.
I am.
You've wanted to live on F-boy Island.
Yeah, and I officially, now I think it's official. I am an F-boy.
That's so sweet.
Bass Slayer Jesus also texted in to say, "Back to work, plebes."
Oh, yeah. I love that term.
Friggin' just a bunch of plebes.
I got a buddy that calls me a plebe all the time.
I don't want to get the program sidetracked right from the get-go, but I'm just curious after I got that text from Fireplace Jesus. Is there still a television show called F-Boy Island?
I don't know if it's still on.
Fair enough.
Let me look it up.
You don't have. Don't bother.
Well, now I want to know.
I just thought that was so interesting when we talked about F-Boy Island. and then, as Josh mentioned, I was fascinated, drawn to the idea of becoming an F-Boy.
All done.
It's over?
Yeah. That was Nikki Glazer's show.
You can start it up again.
Yeah, you can watch a couple. I bet you haven't watched any of it, have you? You just heard about it, right?
Never saw it.
Well, now you can watch it. You can binge.
Oh, I'll be all over it. As I look around the room, it appears everybody is still in one piece. Nobody lost any limbs or suffered any life-altering issues while we were away from work.
Well, perhaps I did.
Still
A relationship changed. A relationship that hasn't even really started.
I was going to ask. That was going to be my next question. So no one lost any limbs?
No.
No.
My next question was going to be any relationship changes, any breakups. And you're saying you've had a breakup?
Well, I had actually two pivotal what's the word? Pivotal moments over the vacation, yeah.
So it wasn't the wife because we saw her last night.
Well, that was
with
one.
you.
That was one. I mentioned that Prince came on the radio.
Prince came on the radio.
And I called her my little red Horvette. I said, you're kind of my little red Horvette instead of Corvette. Thinking, this will be a humorous moment between husband and wife. We've been together 20 years.
Yeah.
And she didn't appreciate it. Surprisingly, she seemed like she didn't think that was the right thing to say.
You called your wife a whore.
Well, I was being silly. I thought I was being silly. But apparently, she didn't take it that way.
And you broke up?
And I said, "What, are you on your period?" And then that made it worse.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? How does that make it worse?
I don't know. Like, girls, for whatever reason, get mad about that.
You were asking a simple question.
Well, then I told her to calm down. And then she wasn't going to calm down. I said, "You know what? You should smile more. You'd look prettier." None of those things helped the situation.
You nailed it. I don't understand where where you went wrong.
I did everything right, Ashley?
Yeah.
Oh, you missed one, though. You should have asked her, are you this upset because of the weight you've gained recently?
Now, that I wouldn't say.
So you did or did not break up with your wife?
No, we stayed together.
Because we saw you.
It was a miniature bump in our relationship.
We saw the two
close.
of you together last night.
Yeah.
She didn't seem terribly happy to be there. But you did not. So who'd you break up with?
Well, it wasn't a breakup. It was a relationship change.
A relationship.
And it was a relationship that hadn't even started yet. I was driving out of my neighborhood, as I do, and there was a gentleman.
You don't do it often.
Right. Very infrequent. You're right.
Very, very rarely that you drive out of your neighborhood.
I don't like leaving the zip code, and that is a true story at this point in my life.
Very true.
To the point where I'm concerned.
It's damn true, Kurt Angle might say.
But there's a guy several houses down in the middle.
Several.
And I've never met him. I've never even seen him. But he was mowing his lawn. And I kind of wait for him because he jumps in the street to make his turn, right, to go back towards his house.
Amateur.
And he got deep into the street and he turned, so I waited and he gave me a little wave and I gave him a wave back. But unfortunately, I wasn't expecting his wave. And I was in the middle of bringing up some Mountain Dew to my mouth. And so I wanted to, give him a wave back in a hurry because I'm driving by. And when I was holding the drink and I lifted my hand, Nick, and you'll see what I'm doing. I gave him the finger.
Because of the way you were holding your Mountain Dew bottle, you think he perceived it to be the middle finger.
His face changed.
It did.
It did, and I could see why he might think that because, again, I had to wait for him to go, I was just saying, oh, man, yeah, I want to wave hi again, and I gave him the finger.
Has anyone ever told you that you worry about the silliest things on planet Earth?
I've never heard that.
His face changed? Oh, I'd be stressed out, too.
His face did not change.
I got him an edible arrangement.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Put it on his doorstep.
You're the sweetest guy in town. So a relationship that hasn't even started yet, you feel as if it has no hope now because he thinks you gave him the finger.
And I'm handling it fine. I'm not being unreasonable.
No.
I sold my truck and I've picked up a new one, so next time I drive by, he won't recognize
He won't know it's
you.
you.
He have no idea. It's a completely different color, different model.
Thankfully, you haven't gone and done anything dramatic.
No, different year, everything.
Oh. I can see you losing sleep. Oh, I can see you losing sleep over this.
I think about it.
The neighbor thinks I gave him the finger. You're just rocking in a chair, staring out the window.
It seemed like I gave him the finger.
You might as well swing by. If it's bothering you, stop by, introduce yourself. Everything will be just fine. Any other, since we haven't been together in a week, any other personal problems we could discuss? Anybody?
Well, no. I'm getting a lot of people.
Josh has his hand raised.
Well, nobody else is jumping in.
No, they didn't.
I'm not trying to
They're acting like they don't have any problems. They got a lot of problems, these other people.
They kind of looked at you like, what do you want me to say?
It was a very, very calm week for me. I was lucky.
She's saying she doesn't have any personal problems.
No. Well, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of strange how many people are texting in saying they had colonoscopies last week like I did. I had mine on Thursday.
How did that go? Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure because
your second run, correct?
Yeah. So I had one 3 years ago. Unfortunately, they found some things.
Big, fat, grotesque things.
And my brother's upset with me because
troubling things.
When they ask you, anybody in your family, they find anything gross. And my brother told his butt guy, I have my own butt guy. He said, my brother, they found some things. And so now my brother has to go more often, just like I do.
How many freaking times have I said on this radio show, you never, ever tell your doctor the complete truth?
Well,
how many freaking times have I said, and your brother should know better?
I think he kind of gets a kick out of it, personally.
Gets a kick out of
that whole process. That's what I think's going on.
Oh, so he's
requested, actually. Maybe I should cut that in half and come in more.
How did your second run down the colostomy highway, how did it go?
I was a little more nervous this time for results.
Because they found those big chunks of this and that the first time around.
Yeah. So the prep, we've said it before.
Disfigured.
I didn't know what they're going to pull out of it. And I feel bad for the guy. He's got to do that.
Yeah.
Of course, I shaved up and took care of everything beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm considerate. If you're ever going to look at my butt,
I shaved up.
yeah, if you're ever going
I
to
would
look at it,
too.
I will take care of it for you to make it the best experience. I thought about bleaching it. Anyways, the guy, I was more nervous this time just for results.
Right.
Had some things going on that I didn't last time.
Hell.
They found 5 polyps last time. Sorry if this is gross, but
No, the guy loses sleep over the way he waved at a neighbor.
well, I gave him
Right?
a finger.
This is the guy who loses sleep over a relationship that hasn't even started yet with a neighbor. I can only imagine your level of stress when you're returning for a second how do you call it? Colonoscopy.
Colonoscopy, yep.
You're returning for a second one by request. So sure, I can understand you'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, and the articles pop up all the time on how it's getting younger people and how dangerous it is.
You're not a younger person.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, it seems like it's getting more and more prevalent. So I thought, geez Louise, I'm an old guy, and they found some stuff last time.
Yeah.
So I was a little more nervous about that. So I jokingly asked my doctor, I'm like, and I didn't want to, be awake for it. Last time I was somewhat awake. Didn't feel anything, but I remember watching the TV they put in front of you, and I'm like, well, that's my colon. you know?
Sure.
What a terrible show. I hope there's not a season 2. Well, there was just on Thursday. And I just jokingly said, hey, I'm a little more nervous than last time just because of what you found. So do you have any extra dope you could give me so I can sleep through this?
Double up on the dope.
So he said to I don't know if it's a nurse or I'm sorry if there's a title for the person that was in there.
Sure.
Hey, what did he get last time for drugs? She looked at it, and he's like, yeah, we can bump that up for you, no problem.
So they really knocked you out.
Oh, yeah, they knocked me out.
Heck yeah.
And so luckily, my wife was there to come into the recovery room afterwards.
She had to drive you out of there.
Well, and they have me...
You have to Uber home.
I don't remember. You know what's funny? They put that on the sheet, Ashley. How are you getting home? And Uber is one of the choices when you circle that.
Oh my gosh, I would not want to be on like a bunch of drugs in an Uber.
Well, and that's the thing.
Well,
Alone.
that's kind of what they're made for.
Alone.
Oh, alone,
say, yeah.
she said.
My wife was telling me, yeah, you signed a bunch of documents, and because I had asked her, I'm like, well, I wonder why they didn't tell me any results. She's like, they told you all of it.
Oh.
I didn't remember anything. The whole conversation we had after.
You were stoned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I had no idea I was that bad off until we got home. So
Oh, it would have been so fun to be there to mess with you a little bit.
they could have, and I wouldn't remember it.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you
Didn't
got
remember a
through it, but they said they need to see you again next week.
Well, I've already gone twice since.
Yeah.
Nah, they found a thing, so they're going to figure that out. But so far, so good.
It ain't no thing
takes,
but a chicken wing.
It takes a while.
Didn't they
to get back
legitimately find a chicken wing?
in. Yeah, they did.
They did.
Yeah, I put it there.
It was on a string
Impressive.
Yep.
from
Burger King.
Burger King. Well, you had your second run, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe when I had mine, I think they asked me if I had a ride home.
Yeah, they make you.
Because they get you a little high.
Yeah. I don't remember being that. Well, I just said, I guess he gave me a little more dope. So
A little more.
which I was very pleased with.
Yeah.
But again,
Feels good to be on dope.
it does.
Yeah.
The process, Nick and I had the same experience, easy.
So people were texting you already this morning
Oh, yeah,
saying, how
like
did
a
it go?
bunch.
How did it go?
I would say probably like 10 to 15 people had it last week, too. Maybe the holiday week is popular, if you have time off.
Sure.
But, man, I hope yours went as well as mine did. But the prep, it's no fun, but it's not as bad as people say. You've
Right.
probably heard, oh, my God, the prep, it's miserable.
It ain't so bad.
And I thought the tough part was going to be not eating because it was Thursday was my procedure. Wednesday at 1, I had to stop. And then I didn't eat again until the next day at like 5. But even that wasn't too bad. So go. Just get it done. Get it over with. Hopefully you have the same experience we did. Didn't think it was bad. Again, I wasn't completely out. I was mostly out. Didn't feel a thing.
Yeah. Loosen up. Let them get in there.
Well,
Let them go further than anyone's ever gone before.
Right. They're like, no. Give me 2 more inches.
Yeah.
I can handle 2 more inches.
Go a little further.
Yeah, get that thing up there.
Speaking of anuses, Randy Shaver will join us later. It's a big day for him. He's hosting his big golf tournament today, benefiting cancer research. We'll talk to Randy. Everyone's going to make their presence known here in our first week back. Brad Ryder will be on later today. Dr. P. Jesus as well. Around 8:20 this morning, you can hear Dr. P. Janelle Klein's going to visit us tomorrow, this and that.
The spokesman, Jesus, thank you. I was wondering, what do you call the person that was in there with the doctor? Is it a nurse? It's the assistant.
Mine sent me a card after it was over.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Little gift card in there or anything?
No gift card, just a card. Did you guys...
Did it accompany some flowers? Or?
No flowers.
What did it say?
It said something like, nice to meet you or something like that.
Oh, that's sweet, I guess.
Thanks for using our butt probe thing. Thanks for coming to our butt probe company as opposed to a rival butt probe. No, you never got any cards?
I don't think so.
My wife she didn't believe it when it happened, but it happened. The assistant, not the doctor, who hauled that big friggin' apparatus into the room and gave me the old prom night. Mm-hmm. Not the doctor who performed the drilling, but the assistant mailed me a card.
That's great.
With her little heart and her name.
Oh.
Thanks for swinging by. Seriously. It was,
wow.
The only thing we
were laughing ourselves sideways. I guess she must have thought I was pretty cute.
Oh, of course. I mean, is she a human being?
Right.
Well, then she did.
Right.
I just got the letter that says yay or nay, how as far as how things turned out when they evaluate whatever they do, whatever they pull out of you.
What's everyone got on their mind after a week off? It's the same story for me. I don't usually do anything dramatic with my time off, so I don't remember a thing about our week off.
I did a lot of housework. How about you?
Friggin' yard work, man. That about killed me.
I had a big list, got it all done. Did some
About killed
painting.
me.
Oh, I hate painting. Did some of that.
Oh, I love painting.
Painting's the worst thing that ever happened.
Do you really love painting?
Yes.
Because my wife says she loves it, and then when we do it, she hates it.
My wife legitimately loves to do it.
Does she?
Yeah,
Yes, I don't
like
get it.
very
I don't
much.
get it. I can't stand. I mean, I had a horrible time in my yard. Yard work, like I said. I thought I was a dead man more than once with this yard work. I'd rather do that than paint. What were you saying, Dana? You went this way, that way?
Oh, I was going to say I went to a place that a lot of people doubted I would ever be allowed to go to.
All right, hang on. Let's try to figure this out. You went to a place, is how you started your statement.
Yes, I went somewhere.
That most folks would never assume you'd be allowed to go?
Yep.
Company work
Allowed.
party.
I went to an elementary school, and I was allowed in the door and everything.
Well, I did too, but this was like the 80s.
No. This was on Friday. I got to go to my wife's class and hang out. The kids love me. I don't see what's teaching so hard. When you're the surprise guest,
my God.
the kids love you. It's simple.
You don't see what's so hard about teaching?
No.
I'm with you. Teaching. Oh, they make a bunch of noise, don't they, teachers? What's so friggin' hard about it?
I brought in a 30 rack of goldfish crackers. I was a hero. I don't see what's so hard. I'm kidding.
Hanging out with the young kids,
They just
huh?
feed their kids all day.
Did they ask you any
Goldfish.
embarrassing questions like,
Nothing too
what's wrong with your face or anything like that?
Yeah.
Nothing too embarrassing, but like there was one very wholesome moment where they come in, they had heard about me, they're all excited, high fives all the way around, and then it's getting kind of quiet. And one kid just all of a sudden blurts out in a very concerned tone. He goes, "Wait! If you're here and Mrs. Wessel's here, who's taking care of the dog?" He was legit worried that the dog was left home alone.
You should have said, "Oh my God," and put him on a bicycle for your house.
We
Gave him a
lost
key.
another dog.
You better get there right away, little Donnie. Give him a key to the house, put him on his bicycle.
That was very wholesome, very fun.
You're getting some middle fingers via text message, boys, for your comments about teachers.
Oh, well, we stand by those comments. We stand by those comments. It is National Leave Work Early Day. Isn't that something? That's a nice day to come back to work. It's a nice day to come back to work on National Leave Work Early Day. Not
Ashley's kind of leaving work early, but she's going to other work.
Oh, I forgot. You're going to go to the golf tournament, Randy Shaver's golf tournament today at Rush Creek Golf Zone, whatever they call it.
Yep,
golf
golf
course.
zone,
What do they call it in the business?
A golf course.
Golf
yes.
course. You're going to be going to maybe you'll talk to some famous people. Maybe you won't.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just go to the Culver's tent.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Who knows? We'll see.
Ashley's going to go over to Randy's golf tournament. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But not
Maybe.
trying.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Maybe they'll let me shoot the gun. Isn't there like a starter gun or something like that they?
I don't know golf. Is there a starter
I can't remember.
pistol?
Yeah, it's a shotgun start. So
Yeah. Maybe they'll let me do that.
So shotgun start. I've heard that term before because I have friends who waste their time on golf courses almost every weekend. That's a legitimate term. Not legitimate. That's a literal term.
yep.
They fire a gun?
They'll have a couple foursomes at all 18 holes, so I'll be ready to go all throughout. So they blast that shotgun, so everybody knows it's time to grip it and rip it.
Well, that's the first cool thing I've heard about golf in a long time. They have an actual weapon that's fired into the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you better ask them that. That'd be really cool. If
They might let you do that.
Do they really
I
have
don't
a
know. Is
legitimate?
it a real gun or like?
I know nothing
Does it have blanks in there?
Well, I'm sure.
There's blanks.
I know nothing about this. This is the
It's
first.
got to be.
But ask when you get there.
Yeah, I will.
Pregnant lady walks up,
Hey.
wearing camouflage, by the way, this morning.
Oh,
Don't-
I brought something else to wear that's more golf appropriate.
Don't tell anyone about your connection to Randy or this radio station. Just walk up in your camouflage with your pregnant belly and say, "Can I fire the gun?"
Well,
Where's
yeah.
the gun?
And if they give you permission, just say, "No, it's cool. I brought my own." This is my Sig Sauer.
I always thought that was just a slang term. Shotgun round or whatever you said. Shotgun. Say it again, Dana.
Shotgun start.
Shotgun start.
And then you say after that, you are supposed to, quote, grip it and rip it,
Yes.
is what you say.
Friggin' golf is so stupid. But today it's all for a good cause over there with Randy Shaver and his bros at Rush Creek. National Leave Work Early Day. Not trying to be a dick here, but that doesn't really apply to us. That's every day around here. We get out of here right after the show's over. So the rest of you know what I'm saying, Josh? Every day we leave early.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, we do.
You just go home and spend the rest of your day doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you better just to stay here, go home, and not worry about it. I'd
You're
appreciate it.
right. We do go home, and that's when the real work begins.
Yeah.
But we leave work
We do get out of this building.
out of this building.
It's a momentary, wonderful feeling. Then you get home and like, all right, I'll fire the laptop up.
Back at it. Grip it and rip it, as they say.
Grip and rip it. Piss missile right down the first fairway.
Yuck.
What does this mean? Ha ha, Ashley can't fire a gun while pregnant. What does that mean? Someone doesn't think you can fire a gun while pregnant? I bet you can do a lot of things.
Maybe you're not supposed to.
Oh,
I don't know.
because of the jarring or the sound or
I
something
don't
like.
know. There's so many things I'm not supposed to do.
Big bearded Jared
That's
texted
true.
in, "Ha ha, Ashley can't fire a gun while pregnant." What does that mean?
Let's see.
Big bearded Jared can fire guns. I've seen him. He's got some cool guns, and he can blow. He's the guy that taught me about tannerite.
Tannerite.
Yeah.
He taught you Tanner right from Tanner wrong.
He did.
He
No.
He
And
must
tanner
mean
right from tanner left. He knows everything about
right.
it.
He must mean it's not a good idea to fire. I don't think he doubts that you can fire a weapon. He knows you're crazy.
Yeah, it's not recommended because of the loud noise.
What?
They're like, that could hurt the baby.
What about people who take their pregnant bodies to rock concerts and whatnot, and they say, "Hey," well, we had this conversation not that long ago where women were texting in saying, "My unborn baby saw Slayer in Milwaukee in 1989," and all.
They're worried about everything.
Yeah. There's a
They
list.
have to tell you.
You sound exhausted.
Yeah, I am. They have to
what's
tell
the
you that this stuff isn't good for you.
Okay, what's the number one thing you wish you could do while pregnant?
Sleep on my back. Yeah, without question.
Wait, you can't sleep
or
on your
maybe
back?
eat salami. No, you're not supposed to.
You
I
can't
guess
eat
that, like-
salami?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Oh, no lunch
eat
meat, right?
Deli meat. Yeah, I mean you
Oh.
can, but you just have to heat it up to a certain temperature.
I wouldn't.
But I just want to go to Subway and get my
Yeah.
classic
Oh, yeah.
spicy Italian sandwich.
I didn't know you couldn't
cold.
eat lunch meat, for Christ's sake. I wouldn't make it as a pregnant
It's
person.
been pretty rough.
That's my entire life is lunch meat.
Yeah, it sucks.
Should I give that line again from My Name is Earl? Joy. Joy, played by, don't tell me, Jamie Presley?
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Gorgeous, hilarious
Best.
character from that television show, My Name is Earl. On the television show, when she was pregnant, they cut to a scene Joy is sitting there, just bloated, beyond pregnant. And she's reading a book about the do's and don'ts of pregnancy. And she says, "What? No cheese out of a can and no thong underwear? What the hell am I supposed to do on New Year's Eve?"
That was a great character.
Oh, I love her.
You're a great character.
No. Did you guys notice how attractive she was, too? Did people talk about that, Jamie Presley?
Well, I just
sometimes.
mentioned it, but I thought I was...
But do other people talk about it?
No, I thought I was the only one who had eyes for Jamie Presley.
Yeah. Yeah. She's an acquired taste, that's for sure.
Yeah, tough to look at first. Tough to look at.
A lot of people are saying you're fine shooting a gun, and other people are saying, no, it's not a gun, it's an air horn. That's what they use nowadays.
Oh,
Well, okay.
Yeah, a little bit less fun, Ashley.
I was unaware.
I brought mine.
I hope that's what it is.
so
It's an... But maybe back in the day, they used to fire a weapon.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like from what folks are texting.
Well...
But it hasn't been that way.
Well, Ashley?
I can still bring my own and ask if they would like me to.
We don't have to-
Shoot.
Why would... Oh, bring your own gun.
Yeah.
Bring your own gun. Okay.
Nowadays, I'd hit the deck. Even if somebody told me, hey, just so you know, they're going to shoot a gun up in the air. If I heard something like that, I'm going,
Yeah.
Let's
going
not...
straight down.
Let's not have you walk up on Rush Creek Golf Zone with a gun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. No.
Don't do that.
No. I'll call ahead of time.
Ask them if you can fire the air horn. And I'll be damned, wouldn't that be an honor?
That would be cool.
fun.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you got a chance.
What if I messed it up, though?
You blow it right in like, your ear.
Like a minute
shoot.
late.
We had a thing about air horns when we were teenage kids.
Like scaring people with it?
Yes. Oh, my damn.
Was that you that had the air horn at one of these golf events back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Because it pissed off one of the happiest guys that worked here.
I forgot about that.
So that was you.
That was me.
I couldn't remember who did that.
Brought an air horn. This wasn't a Randy Shaver cancer fundraiser golf tournament. This was some other.
It was a
silly-
charity thing, but it was this radio station's charity.
We put it on here at the radio.
Just to show like the difference between Randy has celebrities and Culver's, we had X girls and Rick's girls. So that's the kind of vibe.
We had strippers, a lot of golfing strippers and stupid radio station people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was our own golf tournament, and I brought a damned air horn, and I knew this was a one-time bit. You can't do this all day at a golf course. So I waited until our friendliest sales guy, a very serious golfer also, unfortunately.
That's true.
I don't know how do people become, how in God's name do you become a serious golfer? But anyway.
It was like the only thing he really took seriously.
He did. And we were kind of just chasing him around, drinking. Josh and I weren't golfing. We were just parading around in a golf cart with a couple of gals and saying hello to everybody. So Smiling Don, wonderful guy, one of our favorite people. I'm sure you've heard us tell stories about Smiling Don on this show, up and down. I love the man. We always love the man. But he was too serious about his golf, and I waited for that scrawny little peckerhead to be in his backswing on a tee shot, and I punched the button on that air horn. Oh, and he was pissed.
Yeah, he was mad. And he tried to rein it in, but you could see through that fake smile. He was pretty upset.
But we had some friggin' fun with air horns when we were kids. Scaring the piss out of people. The meanest move any of us ever made with an air horn was my buddy Big Phil. This was New Year's Eve, I'm going to say 1982. We were 11 or 12 years old. And Big Phil's parents came home about 2 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve, and they were friggin' hammered off their asses. Hammered. All they wanted to do was just get in bed. Big Phil's parents partied their asses off New Year's Eve 82. And they just fall into bed. Oh. We waited like 2 hours till about 4 o'clock in the morning. We were 12-year-old kids. We waited till 4 o'clock in the morning. Phil tiptoes into his parents' bedroom while they're both completely unconscious and just, I mean, he had the full-on, like, Navy emergency quality air horn. They shot out of bed. Oh, we should have been strangled to death by
That would
those
have killed
people.
you. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Woo!
What?
How was their sense of humor?
They were not happy.
Normally, were they kind of jovial?
Oh, beyond jovial. They
Okay.
were the coolest people on planet Earth.
So if you were going to do it to somebody's
yeah.
parents, they'd be the ones to try it on.
Yeah, but we went too far. You don't do that to two people in their late 40s at 4 o'clock in the morning after they've each downed a bottle of Jack Daniels. You know what I mean? But it will always remain one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my. What time is it?
6:08.
Let's get going. What an unbelievable crowd we got out there. Thank you for all your text messages saying this and that.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, you came back, and we came back. So we'll just continue to run with this. Stupid news coming up next by a damn in a few minutes here on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
You buy a pair of socks, that's 2 socks. You buy a pair of Bombas socks, that's 4 socks. Because one purchased is one donated. Socks are the #1 most requested clothing item in homeless shelters. So when you buy a pair of super comfortable Bombas socks, you're also donating a pair. Bombas customers have powered over 150 million donations. So Bombas would like to thank you 150 million times. But we only have like 30 seconds. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Yeah. Back after a week vacation. Thank you, everyone, for your text messages. 651-989-9393 is how you can always get a hold of us. Well, at least between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m. It's not like I check this sumbitch when I'm at home.
I don't think you'd even know how to.
I probably wouldn't even know how to. 651-989-9393. Thank you for your text. How about this one here, Josh, from I'm listening to the effing song. Jesus, who says, what up, skanks?
Nice.
And Ashley.
Hi.
Yeah, I saw
That's
you.
sweet.
I saw you panic there for a minute, like, who you calling a skank?
But have you
Tough
noticed,
guy.
Ashley, when we get texts a lot of times, it'll be a very derogatory thing to say about us, and then they exclude you from that comment. I've noticed.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Thank
Because
you. I appreciate it.
There are ladies and gentlemen in the listening audience.
It's a classy group.
It is.
What up, skanks and Ashley? See, here we are on our first day back after a week's vacation. Today is I'm listening to the effing song Jesus' Ultimate F-Off Day.
Oh, nice.
He's
Beautiful.
on.
And he's still tuning in? That's awesome.
He's on vacation after today. So
gotcha.
it's his final. And he says, in case you're curious and want to know what that means, his vacation, what does it mean? He says, every day gets the old Jay Cutler treatment. Oh, don't care. Good for you, dude, and thank you for listening. All right, let's fire ourselves into the tall grass here with our first stupid news report of the week. It's anybody's guess what style hard bathtub drugs this idiot had choked down before she cut loose. Anybody's guess what she was smoking. It says here now, a few days ago, cops in Washington, D.C. got a telephone call about a, quote, disorderly person at a hotel. The caller said that a lady was in the hotel lobby and she was taking her clothes off.
Excellent. I lived right next to, my first apartment was next to one of those shady motels.
Yeah?
You didn't want to leave your apartment after dusk.
Did you see anything good? Did you make any friends?
What is this, the Old West?
Right.
After dusk.
Yeah, it was. Did I make any friends? No, I mean, usually, Dana, you rented that place by the quarter hour.
Oh, yeah.
To give you an idea. Oh, that was dangerous. Never go out barefoot. You're going to step on a syringe of sorts.
So at night, you wanted to be home in order to protect all of your belongings.
Yeah, it was like the movie The Purge, kind of. You just locked up at night.
Yep. Again, here's a hotel in Washington, D.C. Someone calls the police and they say there's a lady in the lobby and she's taking her clothes all the way off. And they weren't making that up. A 31-year-old woman was ass naked in the hotel lobby at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, for cripe's sake. Folks are making dinner plans. Yeah, that ain't right.
Too early.
It is too early for that. So apparently, once this lady got all of her likely oversized gear out for everyone to get a look at, she went ahead with sidearming bottles of hooch at anybody who crossed her path. She's throwing bottles of booze at everybody. Once the police walked in, they found her sitting at a high-top table, still naked as the day she was born, glass all over the joint. And when they asked her what her effing problem was, she said, "My Lord and Savior Michael Jackson told me to do this." Which is, of course, ignorant.
That's very ignorant.
To blame that mess on Mike Jackson, that's ignorant. Oh, here we go.
No, that's ignorant.
Then the naked gal started ranting about white people and told the cops she happens to be, quote, a very racist person.
Don't get me started on white people.
She told the cops she happens to be a very racist person. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. She eventually told the cops to, quote, just take me to jail. I love that bit.
I like that one, too.
When idiots act like they're the ones giving the orders to the cops. Yeah, stupid, you're going to jail, but when they're ready to take you there.
And what is the thought process? Were the cops just going to go, hey, you can't tell us what to do, on your way?
It's an attempt to
They're controlling the situation.
To try and control, to be in control. Take me to jail. Just put the handcuffs on me. I love when the cops say something like, yeah, we'll get there. You're not calling the shots here, stupid. So shut your hole. All three of them, by the way, that were currently exposed. As this naked lady was. Mike Jackson. She said that Mike Jackson was her Lord and Savior, and he ordered her to take off all of her clothes and then throw booze bottles around the hotel. Mike was a different kind of a guy, wasn't he, Josh?
You know, you've said this before. I don't see it. I just don't get it. Maybe one day we can get an interview with his son, Blanket, and ask him if he's a different kind of guy.
I would love to interview Blanket. Mike was different, yeah. But when he sang a song, a couple of his songs still stick with me.
He was a talented weirdo, that's for sure.
She's out of my life. She's out of my life. Damned indecision and cursed pride. He sang back in 1980, 79 actually, Ashley.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm confident that this is the dumbest and most disgusting story any of you have heard so far today. If you've heard worse today, let me know on our text machine. If you've heard worse than this today. There's a lady out there, Summers, by the name of Christine Connell. And folks have been talking about Christine lately because of a story she dumped on the social media dorks. Okay, she posted this story up on that godless, soulless, evil, and wildly misinformed social media. She claimed her ex-boyfriend's, how do I say this? She claimed that her ex-boyfriend farted in her face.
Have you ever had that happen to you, Ashley?
No, absolutely not. No.
They'd be dead, correct?
Yes. It's disgusting.
What about a boyfriend who does openly do it in front of you?
Never.
That's horrible.
Never had one.
You're just a giant child if you do that. She claimed her ex-boyfriend farted in her face, and it gave her a sinus infection that lasted 7 years.
He farted terribly. Usually don't get E. coli in your sinuses because E. coli is from poop. I don't know. How does that get in your sinuses unless you have a boyfriend who farts disgustingly and you are forced to inhale it because you are immobile after ankle surgery?
No, that's ignorant.
Oh, what the hell's Mike doing back in the mix?
He took advantage of the fact that she was immobile? What?
He did.
What is wrong with this dude?
That
What
was the-
psycho?
Exactly. What fraternity was he in at the time?
That was the voice of this Christine Connell who told the story on social media. What? So here's the deal. Back when she was dating this disgusting prick, idiot, she upped and had surgery on her ankle for one reason or another. And the two of them were staying in a hotel. Don't know why. Doesn't matter why they were staying in a hotel, but they were. One night, she was already in bed, and she can't really move around much with this surgically repaired ankle. And her boyfriend was getting into bed, naked. And that's when he sprayed a fart in her face. And she said it was so terrible, she'd never smelled anything like it. She says it was just off the charts, disgusting. Not to get us sidetracked, but if anyone ever did that to me, somebody better call all of the police in town, because it's going to take 5 or 6 of them to pull me off of the person while I'm caving in their skull with a lamp. And Ashley, I know you'd react the exact same.
100%. Yeah.
It would take everyone to keep me from killing that person. But I'm not trying to get us sidetracked. That's what she said happened. She's in bed. She can't move. Her ankle is all mangled. Here comes her stupid loser boyfriend. He's naked, and he just bombs her right in the mush. Christine, the gal who took the naked fart, she said shortly after this terrible incident, she developed a sinus infection that has stuck with her ever since. And again, this was 7 years ago. She doesn't mention if the fart was what directly led to their breakup.
I would hope so.
I would never speak to that person again. That is, if they lived through the lamp attack.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably things before and after this fart, but that could be something to point to. That could be a relationship ender for sure.
There's no 7-year there's no 7-year sinus infection, but I did make a girlfriend cry at IKEA once because of a misjudged case of flatulence. we were in line. They got those long lines at the checkouts, and my tummy made a little thing. I felt like I had just let a little air out, so I just kind of sloughed it out. Thought it was no big deal. And all of a sudden, it hits you, and it, singed your nostrils. It was so bad. My girlfriend realized me. She got embarrassed. The cash register, some poor girl, working during the holiday season, probably working 12-hour shifts, just backs away. She goes, no. And backed away. Everybody around me left. And my girlfriend was so embarrassed, she was crying her eyes out right there at IKEA.
It was that bad?
It was that bad. And, then just the residual embarrassment of me.
Yeah, you should have just left.
My face was bright red. I could not contain the fact that I did this. It was very obvious.
Did you ever consider blaming her?
I wish I would have.
What'd you do? Oh, God, you're so gross.
Oh, use her full name.
You did it again.
Gross.
Yes, Josh.
Septum Ring Jesus said he had an ex-girlfriend who used to Dutch oven him.
See, I hate when we get into these conversations because that kind of stuff just disgusts me. It's not funny at all. I always, and then I end up getting text messages, people mad at me. I don't care. I just find absolutely zero humor in that kind of stuff.
Cheesehead for Life Jesus said he once bare ass farted in his wife's face while they were dating. And then I instantly saw the look on her face. I crossed the line, and I never did it again.
Bare ass.
Why would you ever do that in the first?
What's wrong with you?
Why would you ever assume that was funny?
Angry bus driver Jesus said, I was on her side with the fart on its own. That ankle surgery is just an aggravating factor, right? It's bad enough, but then she's immobile. She can't escape it.
Dana, you're not one of those gross farter guys, are you?
No.
All right, good.
Not around other people, but if I'm sitting there by myself playing Mario Kart, I'll let one go.
Oh, really? That was a very strange comment.
That was the weirdest answer you could have possibly given to that question. That was why were you so strangely specific about that?
Have you ever peed in front of somebody? No, but if I'm in the bathroom by myself,
I'll take my penis out and I'll urinate into a toilet.
Yeah, I urinate.
Oh.
What in the hell was behind that answer?
That was weird, Dana. Why?
You said no, and it was very convincing. But I asked, are you a gross farter guy? You said no. I believed you, and then you gave some weird Mario Kart defense.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe you anymore.
Well, I thought you're by gross farter guy. Like, do I just never fart, or do I just not
of course
fart in
not.
front of people? Okay.
No. You have to.
Just in the presence of Mario, he's okay with it.
I enjoyed the hell out of that.
That was fun.
It was really friggin' weird,
yeah,
but fun. It brings me back to many years ago. I was seeing this gal, and she used to come to our after bar parties for our beer league hockey team. A bunch of donkeys. We'd go out and win quite handily, usually, Josh. Beer league hockey, and then drink for 11 hours at the neighborhood bar that sponsored our hockey team.
How often were you sitting there going, "Come on, let's speed up the game. I want to go to the bar."
Oh, every friggin' Sunday. But this gal would come and sit with the donkeys, with our hockey club, and of course, a bunch of stupid dudes. Someone got on the topic of farting.
Why not?
Right, and people are trading stories, and maybe you had to be there, Josh. But this gal. I guess in this moment, she felt like she needed to be part of the conversation. She felt felt left out momentarily. So 3-4 guys get done telling these disgusting fart stories, and the laughter dies down. And then this ex-girlfriend of mine says exactly this. She says, "Yeah, I've never been like I've never been like a big farter."
Not even when playing Mario Kart by yourself?
I said, what about when you're playing video games by yourself? Do you hold them in or do you go ahead?
Oh, poor girl.
There was stunned, well, not stunned, but just dead silence. And then I said, thank you for that. All right, we got to get
the story. Duck Butter Jesus said he gave her fart freckles.
Oh, fart freckles.
Have you heard that term before?
No.
I've never heard that.
So again, we need to reiterate this. A gal went online to tell this story. She was immobilized with ankle surgery in a hotel room with her ex-boyfriend. She can't move in the bed. She's in bed. Boyfriend is naked. While he's getting into bed, he farts in her face intentionally. And she says she's had a sinus infection for 7 years.
Do you have trouble believing this?
Sure.
I do a little bit.
Sure.
Because 7 years, I mean, you would go crazy. You got to get it fixed.
Well, let me just tell you the rest of the story. She claims she's seen many doctors, and they can't figure out what is causing this sinus problem. She recently had a doctor take the closest look yet, and it turns out she had E. coli in her sinuses. Now, E. coli usually comes from feces or from not washing your hands. So she thinks the bacteria that's been living in her nose came from her boyfriend's colon. Apparently, that is possible. The story mentions that no actual experts have spoken up on this, which shouldn't surprise anyone.
They don't want to attach their names
No.
to this one?
Yeah.
If I were an expert on the topic, I wouldn't come anywhere near this effing disaster.
Sit it out.
Says here, the fact that her clown bitch ex-boyfriend was naked when he launched ass in her face is the only reason it might be possible. If he'd had drawers on, they would have acted as a filter and prevented the E. coli from infecting her face. She said in a follow-up video that antibiotics haven't knocked it out yet. She might need surgery.
Jeez Louise.
Where they would go in and scrape the fecal bacteria out of her sinuses.
That's exhausting. Come on, man. Stupid dude.
This text says, I once accidentally farted in my girlfriend's cupped hand. Why was her hand cupped and close to the chute? That's none of your damn business. You're right. I wasn't going to ask a follow-up question.
I don't want to know.
And it's not my business.
He's right.
Don't you dare ask me why I was in that position.
Wasn't that something?
Yeah, that's kind of nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had my face farted in, and I grew up with, two brothers, really.
I don't think I'd handle that well.
I know I go a little overboard, but things like that just infuriate me. I can feel, Josh, I can feel myself strangling someone. I can feel the life leaving their body. If anyone ever did that to me.
What if they farted on their way out? Instead of a last breath. Oh, man. They get the ultimate revenge on you at that point.
I'd have to bring them back somehow.
Well, we can't end like that.
No, we're not ending like that.
That's not how it's supposed to go.
That's you getting the last word, and there's no friggin' way you're getting the last word.
I'm going to choke you again.
All right.
So, Dana, you fart by yourself, like in the privacy of your own home, your car, wherever you are.
I know. Kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
I'm going to write this in my diary.
Riveting stuff.
All right. Of course, we never have to wait too long before a Stupid News report features the awful, terrible, unlivable alligator state. Police down there, Summers, are searching for a derelict who went ahead and stuffed a $650 ferret down the front of his shorts at a pet shop and then walked smooth out of the joint. Petland is the name of the joint, Josh. Petland.
Oh, sure. I've heard of Petland.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a ferret.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and that
Cool.
was that was the first time I knew you could have a ferret as a pet, and that was a fun pet.
I heard they smell pretty bad.
Don't they
that's
just?
what I've heard too, actually.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Don't they just chew on your loose skin and whatnot? And,
I did take a couch out at one point.
and they infect you with this and that.
But yeah, it was cool. I like that thing.
Security cameras recorded this dildo the entire time he was at Petland. It says here he browsed the ferret section of the store. The store is how you say it. He browsed the ferret section at the store, and then he, quote, fondled the ferret for quite some time. When you, this friend of yours, Josh, who had the pet ferret, did you fondle the ferret?
No, I was specifically
you.
asked not to.
So the derelict felt the ferret up and down for a stretch of time, and then he smashed this poor thing down into his drawers. I mean, the damn ferret was suddenly forced to slam dance with this dude's nuts and weenus. That's not cool at all. No warning, nothing.
But, a ferret down your pants kind of looks like you're packing. I don't know if you looked at the picture of the guy.
No, I did
Yeah.
not.
You agree, Ashley?
Yeah, I'd have to. It's just the truth.
It's ridiculous, but it sure does look like he's gifted.
He slams this poor ferret down into his drawers and then quickly walks out of the joint. So before the ferret knows what's happening, the poor bastard is being suffocated by dirty balls. As you might imagine, the dude had to hang on to his wad as he was walking out of there to keep the ferret from falling out. A manager from Petland ran after him but couldn't catch the guy. The manager did say the dude was driving a white work van with multiple ladders on the top. Oh, a painter.
Sounds that way, yeah.
A white work van with multiple ladders, that's a painter.
Oh, yep.
A lot of painters have that, sure.
And folks who paint for a living are different.
They can be.
Iffy is the word I would use. They're iffy.
$650. That's what a ferret runs you, huh?
I had no idea.
What?
The douchebag who snatched the ferret, they say here, had a very unique, long-looking mustache hanging off of his face. I would compare it to the biker character from The Village People, if anyone knows that reference.
Yeah, that's a pretty wicked mustache. He can grow a good mustache. Humble Jesus said, ferrets only stink if you keep them penned up. If you let them roam around like a cat, they won't smell, but they do destroy everything you own. And that was my friend's experience.
They destroy everything you
Yeah,
own.
she had a lot of stuff chewed up by this ferret, but boy, did she love it.
Win-lose situation, but might be worth it.
Oh, ferret. No, I never went ahead with that. All right. I've said it many times afore. I'll go ahead and say it again, by God. Some folks just can't get right. They're completely effed right down to the core. Over there in godforsaken Poland, of all places.
We don't get a lot of stories out of Poland.
No, we don't. They don't say much.
They're well behaved.
A career bag repeat drunk driver found a new way to get pinched. This guy's a career moron, repeat drunk driver. He found a new way while steering a cart led by horses. This guy's so friggin' stupid. 69 years old already, this guy. But he doesn't get it. Effing numbskull has been caught driving drunk in a motor vehicle so many damn times, he's been banned for life from having a driver's license in Poland.
For life.
But in his warped and alcohol-soaked mind, he thinks he's been given some kind of raw deal, right? He's a victim somehow. So the dude gets loaded off his ass, drunk, jumps onto his effing stupid cart, hitches up a team of horses, cracks a whoop on the horse's ass, and the dude did a lap around the parking lot of the local police station like he was making some effing defiant statement to the cops, like, what you gonna do now, kind of a thing. He waved to the cops as he swung through. What a clown. But the fun part is the cops said, oh, you want to play games? And they pulled him over with his horses, and they gave the dumb bastard another Dewey. I love that.
That is pretty funny. I wonder if he thought he was above the law, like literally thought, well, they can't give me a ticket, or if he just didn't care one way or the other.
I bet he thought that the horses couldn't qualify.
I'm sure that's it.
It's got to be it.
Yeah.
So that's why he wanted to be a prick about it. Like, look at me now. How can you be the kind of guy who, for the rest of his life, he can't have a driver's license because of his DWIs, and he still wants to pull some kind of a, can you catch me now kind of a thing? If I were I would have given this guy a beating.
Too old. Too old to be doing that.
Way too old to be acting that way, too. A spokesman for the local police station there in Poland said, regardless of your means of transport, You are legally required to stay sober and follow the rules of the road. Not having a driver's license does not entitle anyone to seek alternative modes of travel, especially while intoxicated. In other words, so long, sucker. But he'll be back, won't he?
Oh, I'm sure.
Clearly. Yeah, he's not going to stop.
Yeah, he's not someone that's going to learn a lesson. Especially if he's been doing that for 69 years, he's not going to change.
All right, we got to get going. Here's this guy, too, before we leave. A 27, how do you say that age, Josh?
27.
A 27-year-old jagoff in Alabama by the name of Ryan something. He was pulled over last Wednesday. Oh, he was swerving all over the road. The cops dumped a field sobriety test on him. He failed. Then the cops noticed a baby in the back seat of his car. That's nice, right? It's one thing if this idiot wants to smash into a tree and, have himself. It's another when he decides to drag a little baby into the mix. He was arrested for all kinds of things, DUI being the highlight, of course. Here's where you might get a chuckle out of the deal. In his mugshot, dude is wearing a shirt that says, "You nailed it."
That's up on 93x.com.
You nailed it, is what he did. And the baby was wearing a shirt that said, "For God's sake, somebody help me."
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Yeah, T-Mobile Park has a fire alarm issue right now. The blinking lights, and there is clearly an alarm sound going off as well. Bill Miller said it's unsafe to play.
What was that, Saturday's Twins game?
Yeah, they're nationally televised.
Oh, right. It was on
so a lot of people
Channel 9. Some fire alarm went off at the Seattle Mariners ballpark. They stopped the game for a few minutes. It was no big deal. Well, actually, I found out what happened. You know why the fire alarm went off at the Twins game?
Why?
Glenn Perkins took his shirt off.
Oh man.
Duh. Yeah.
Hot stuff for sure.
Did I ever tell you about that Bear Pigs game I went to? Must have been a preseason game because it was very shortly after 9/11. And the alarms went off. Some kind of fire alarm went off in the friggin' rink, and everyone was running for their friggin' lives.
You did tell us that, yeah.
Heck yeah.
I mean, it was.
I can imagine.
Looking back, it was funny, but in the moment, it wasn't all that funny. I mean, me and Big Al.
Any public event, sure.
God dang. It was just someone overcooked some chicken fingers or something, and the fire alarm went off, and the whole arena, same thing as they were describing in the audio, blinking lights and red swirling light, and there was a sign up on the video board that said, "Move to the exits in an orderly fashion." People did not move to the exits in an orderly fashion. Woo-wee.
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Twins, friggin' close games all weekend in Seattle. Unfortunately, they lost 2 or 3. But they did some great things. They had some great pitching, some clutch hits. They kind of got a raw deal. But they're hanging in there. They start a series tonight in Sacramento. That's where the Athletics play now. And when Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder join us in a half hour, we'll, of course, discuss the Twins. And we got the finals begin this week. The Stanley Cup final, the NBA final. We were off for a week. We didn't get to talk about kind of the ugly demise of the Timberwolves. We didn't get to talk about the ugly ending.
Pretty disappointing.
Of course, we can discuss that with the boys.
And we have a concert, or not a concert announcement, an announcement at 8 o'clock, which we just find out about this morning.
Word.
Yeah, a good one.
Good opportunity right now to give you an hour heads up. 1 hour from now, we have an exclusive, life-altering, important, once-in-a-lifetime announcement to make. You see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime deals that happens every so often.
Right. Josh's News is coming up next.
93X
Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Half-assed morning show.
It's not just the swearing. Did one of you, fornicate?
Fornicate? Look, I've boned a lot of chicks in my time, sure. But, as far as I can recall, I've never fornicated anybody.
93X.
I mean, that's somebody would get angry over things like that. The only difference is in an organized society, you don't get to take care of it by pulling out a handgun and firing.
2 stories in the news this morning reveal how ingredients in a breakfast sandwich nearly turned deadly. First, a story about eggs out of California.
Yeah, who's this guy hollering at?
A 54-year-old San Mateo man cracked after opening fire at an SUV carrying 3 high school boys who egged his home. Prosecutors said the boys, 2 16-year-olds and a 17-year-old, spent the evening targeting the homes of classmates, including a female classmate. The dad told police his daughter had been the victim of bullying at her school, and he was infuriated by the pranksters' antics. First, the teens spread oil over the family's front porch Friday, May 23rd. Then they returned in the early hours of the following Sunday and each threw an egg at the home. That's when the dad fought yolk with lead, firing 2 shots at the boys' SUV, one of which struck the passenger's side. He told officers he was already upset about having to spend time cleaning up the oil off his porch before the egging, so he scrambled to retrieve his gun and angrily fired at the boys' tires before dumping the weapon in a lake.
He's willing to kill somebody over that, huh?
Well, he said he was aiming for the tires. But yeah, obviously that if your aim's off or a tire blows and they roll 100,000 times, that could be some trouble.
Oh, man.
The case against the man in the egging incident won't be over easy, especially after police found an illegal automatic rifle and multiple types of ammunition in his home.
You see, you kind of called attention to yourself there, didn't you, bro?
Yeah, it wasn't too incognito. The shooting in San Mateo is the latest incident in the U.S. in which pranks have turned violent and in some instances fatal. Earlier this month, a Virginia teenager was shot and killed by a homeowner while filming TikTok ding-dong ditch prank videos with friends. And if you like a little danger with your eggs, here's the second ingredient in our deadly breakfast sandwich. A 67-year-old former Florida Mayo Clinic doctor is facing felony charges after firing a pistol at a car full of high schoolers who pelted his Range Rover with cheese. Dr. Bruce Mitchell was arrested after an alarming high-speed chase, which began with a seemingly harmless teen prank. But things went from provolone to perilous real quick. According to police, 5 students from a private school in Jacksonville admitted they'd been tossing cheese from their car while they stopped at a red light. But when the light turned green, the angry doctor's face turned red, and being pissed off was the diagnosis. A Range Rover, later identified as Mitchell's, suddenly began aggressively tailing them.
You got a 67-year-old doctor fired at least 1 round from a Sig Sauer handgun and then chased a carload of high school boys at dangerous speeds after these kids threw a piece of cheese at his Range Rover.
When questioned by officers, Mitchell claimed, "They shot at me first," but refused to say anything more. A search of the teen's vehicle turned up no weapons, only cheese.
I wonder, because we raised a lot of hell as kids, messing with people, whether it be throwing eggs, messing with people's houses, messing with people when we're on the road, driving. I wonder if we would be as wild today as we were back in the 80s, knowing that it's just the Wild West these days where the answer for everyone is to shoot first and ask questions later. You know what I mean?
I'd imagine, obviously there's...
I wonder if we'd be way more well-behaved.
There's plenty of examples of kids that aren't getting that message, certainly, like, the last couple stories. But I think you guys would probably be smarter. Somebody in your group would say, hey, this doesn't seem right.
We never, ever, ever in a million years imagined that we'd get shot at. You know what I mean?
No, it just wasn't something you ever thought about.
No, all the insane friggin' things we did, we never imagined we'd get shot at. We had, some dads come running for us. We had some workers come running for us. The most violent reaction I think we ever had to our behavior was we messed with the street worker guy one day. You know, the bored guy holding the slow sign, you know? My job is to hold the slow sign through this road construction. We scared him. That was our thing. We would stay completely still in the vehicle and then scare, you know, just a quick scare thing.
Mm-hmm.
Two old people on the sidewalk, whoever was in our path. And we did this to the city worker guy with the slow sign, and he picked big heavy ass. He picked the damn thing up and was swinging it over his head and threw it at our motor vehicle.
Oh, my God.
How'd he do?
I think he hit a tire.
Oh, did he?
But, I mean, had we not, the driver, had not kind of toggled the gas and the brake a little bit, it might have come right through the friggin' window.
Man.
That was the most violent reaction we ever got.
Yeah, he was upset.
Nowadays, with the way everyone's just Yosemite Sam, you know, I wonder if we would have stayed at home and behaved ourselves.
When we used to bike everywhere, where we would bike through alleys, you know, kind of cut through neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I had a couple friends who would go through and pull garbage cans down while riding by.
Sure.
And I thought, you know, that looks kind of fun. I've been watching these guys do this for months. I'm going to give it a shot. So we go biking. I grab my first one. I do my bike by, garbage can pulling it down. And it just so happens the guy that owned the home, I'm assuming, lived there at least, was standing out front. And he's like, hey, get back here and clean that up. And instead of just biking away, I went back and I cleaned it up, and I never did it again.
Oh, man.
And I didn't realize, you know, you're a kid, you're kind of stupid. I didn't realize what a pain in the butt that must have been and how that would have upset somebody. We thought it was good,
of course,
dirty fun.
You don't think about that kind of stuff.
No, my one and only time.
You would be the perfect guy to say, oh, okay, fellas, hang on a second. I'm going to go help this guy clean up the mess that I made.
And these guys have been doing it for months, not one issue. My buddies, they've been doing it for a long time.
You got caught right away.
And I just thought, man, are they having fun? I want to have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was not fun. From throwing cheese to cutting it, this is a tale of Toots, Tempers, and Trouble in Pennsylvania.
Toots, he said.
Police charged a 39-year-old after he assaulted an elderly man who farted while waiting in line to donate blood. Chaz Pearson was standing in line at the blood donation center when the man in front of him donated some ill-timed gas and refused to apologize for the odoriferous ambush.
That's a bad combination, blood and farts.
Yeah.
Terrible combination.
We have a blood fart Jesus out there.
Yeah, I was front lines for the original blood fart. Which happened in 1988. I'll tell you that story some other time. So anyway, an old-timers at the blood donation center.
Yeah, they're waiting in a long line, and he passed gas. The man's son offered an apology, but Pearson refused to accept it, and he beat him too. When Pearson socked the senior, it sent him to the floor with a head injury that bled.
Dude.
Things got even messier when the man's son tried to intervene, and he was also bloodied when he caught a piece of Pearson's fart-fueled fury. The whole thing was caught on surveillance cameras, and thanks to that footage, Pearson was arrested.
Dude knocked two people out.
Yeah, the son that tried to apologize, and then the son had to go back and say, hey, don't beat up my dad, you know.
Man.
Here's a couple of fun facts to follow up the fart story. A recent study revealed Uranus emits more heat than previously thought, and astronauts can't burp in space. The lack of gravity prevents foods and gases from separating in the stomach as they do so on Earth.
What do they do?
I don't know. That's got to be kind of painful.
No burping in space.
A middle school girl in California was attacked by a man as she was walking home from school, but he picked the wrong teenager because she was trained in martial arts and kicked his ass. The 13-year-old jiu-jitsu whiz was walking home when the goon jumped out from between two parked cars and tried to deck her, which was a big mistake. Instead of panicking, she put her training into action, flipping the script and fracturing his ankle in the process. Police say the cowardly clown came out swinging, but the girl countered with some serious self-defense skills she learned over 3 years with Sensei Blackburn at the California Youth Center.
A gentleman was standing in between two cars, and he stepped out to punch her in the face. She punched him, got him in a headlock, kneed him a couple of times, threw him on the ground, stepped on his foot, broke his ankle.
That does not sound like a teenage gal.
No, a 13-year-old.
What, does she smoke?
13-year-old. She broke his ankle. Her sensei.
Am I right? That's a rough-sounding teen.
Yeah. Oh, that you're talking about the clip?
Yeah.
That's the sensei.
No, that was the teenage gal.
No, I saw the video. That is the sensei. Her sensei said it broke his heart that his 13-year-old student needed to fight under those circumstances, but told her he's proud of her.
I told her we were proud of her, and she did exactly what she was supposed to do.
That one was the girl. After humbling her attacker, she was able to run home safely.
What kind of a derelict hides in the bushes and then jumps out to beat up teenage girls?
I know, but I love that. She said, "Not today, a-hole."
Wapa, wapa, pa, 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 pa.
Authorities in Kentucky got a real kick out of a 34-year-old man they arrested for drunk karate. According to a police report, an officer saw a man, later identified as 34-year-old Michael Graham, walking wobbly and stumbling in the street while practicing martial arts in a very slow manner as he walked. Officers say Graham started hitting and kicking a utility pole, stumbled again, and laid on the ground, as if he just lost a battle to an invisible opponent, or his alcohol-impaired equilibrium. When police approached, he quickly got up and told them he was practicing martial arts. Apparently, he said he learned these skills from what he read in a book to help fend off attacks from dogs.
When officers approached him, he quickly got up and told them he was practicing his martial arts skills to help fend off dog attacks.
Have the neighborhood dogs been tearing this guy limb from limb?
It didn't sound that way.
Okay.
They weren't able to find any dogs wearing geese in the neighborhood. Dog geese. Dang it. Trademark that. I'm going to start selling them. Dog geese.
Please don't do that.
No, I have to. Here, fast forward a year, I've made no money. Nobody appreciated it.
Just a garage full of boxes of dog geese.
I've lost a good amount of my income on these.
Your wife left you.
Goodwill turned him down. Officers noted it was clear he was under the influence of something, which likely led to his drunk foo. Graham has a court appearance scheduled for later today.
A court appearance, eh?
Yeah, he'll be in court.
I bet he'll have more interesting things to say.
A level 3 registered sex offender in Canada is back behind bars in Vancouver after committing a disturbing encore of lewd acts, including the 5-knuckle shuffle. According to court documents, Vancouver police were called May 10th after multiple people reported seeing a man openly pleasuring himself in the middle of the street. One witness showed officers a video he recorded, which not only captured the act, but also showed the man walking toward a teenage girl waiting at a nearby bus stop.
Oh, boy. I didn't know Canadians were dialed into the, what do you call it?
Public masturbation.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Canadians had caught on to that.
I think this is the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah. That's a very American thing.
The masturbatory man, who had his face partially covered but his penis fully exposed, left the scene before officers arrived. Later, the girl's family shared details of the encounter in a local Facebook group. Thanks to that post, someone recognized the suspect as a 45-year-old with a history of similar behavior. His greatest hits of grossness stretch back to 2010. Investigators believe he's the same man involved in a similar incident, February 10th, when a suspect was seen masturbating while approaching women at a community center. Based on photos from that case, they suspect he was also the individual seen exposing himself at a Vancouver Trader Joe's. And the same guy from a 2015 incident where he was caught hammering his Halloweenie near some costumes at a Halloween store.
So he's the one Canadian.
Yeah, he's the guy.
We've got thousands of them.
That's why he's so busy.
Yeah,
it's got to be exhausting for the guy, but he has to, he has to go out there and do it. Due to his girthy history of depravity, this time around, he's looking at several years behind bars.
Well, it's probably a good idea to maybe have him talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's time, right? 2 people in New Hampshire were arrested after flagrantly fornicating in a parking lot of the Boys and Girls Club, where boys and girls were present. Police responded about 6:25 p.m. after receiving reports of a not-so-coy couple caught canoodling. An officer arrived on the scene and reportedly witnessed the behavior firsthand.
Canoodling.
The incident occurred while the club was open and hosting an event, meaning nearby children got an unwanted lesson in sex ed. The 46-year-old man and the 39-year-old woman he was penising were cooperative at the during the incident.
They were or they were cooperative?
They were
Penising is what they...
He was penising right in front of multiple children under the age of 16. Cooperative. The dude half became physically aggressive during booking and assaulting an officer. But his haymakers led to handcuffs and several charges, including indecent exposure in the presence of a child, resisting arrest, assaulting a police officer, driving after a DUI-related license suspension, and operating a vehicle without a required alcohol interlock device. So he's in some serious trouble. The one with the Virginia was charged with indecent exposure with a child under 16 present, gross lewdness, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. They're in some serious trouble. I hope the sex was good, at least.
I get a kick out of the fact that the dude, once he got caught, then he wanted to fight. You know, I'd be embarrassed enough.
Oh, me too.
I've never taken a swing at anyone when I had a hard-on. For God's sake. I mean, you talk about, would you say, Josh, you're not a doctor, but is that like an overload of testosterone or something? I mean, the guy's getting it on, and then he also wants to fight?
Yeah, I mean, your blood is in a different area. You know, you're going to be, and your equilibrium's going to be off, like in the previous story. It's going to sound like one of those door stoppers when you fling it, right, when it's moving around.
Even when I was young, I don't think I could do both in the same night. Get it on and get in a fist fight. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't even want to try.
This guy is quite potent.
2 ticketless passengers caused a bit of a commotion on a Delta Airlines flight over Memorial Day weekend. A pair of pigeons somehow found their way onto a plane departing from Minneapolis-St. Paul International, headed for Dane County Regional Airport in Madison, Wisconsin. Perhaps just tired from flying on their own, their surprise appearance turned to a bit of an in-flight fiasco. The first pigeon was spotted in the cabin before takeoff and was promptly escorted out by baggage handlers. But just when the crew thought they were in the clear, a second pigeon made its debut mid-flight.
The pigeon began flying around the cabin. There you see him there. It was removed by the ground crew, but as the plane taxied out for takeoff, a second bird appeared.
The second pigeon was safely removed, and after a short delay, the flight was back in the air, arriving in Madison 56 minutes behind schedule.
Why don't you just throw them out the window?
Well, I don't know if you can open those windows.
Oh.
They've got the screens on them. You can't.
I mean, he'll be fine if you throw him out the window. That's what he does naturally.
The second pigeon was safely removed. As it turns out, pigeon pandemonium wasn't the only animal-related incident causing flight disruptions that weekend. On another Delta flight from Detroit to Los Angeles, a dog in the cabin started to become ill. Thankfully, there was a veterinarian that happened to be on board and helped care for the pup, but the situation still led to a diversion to Minneapolis and a 2.5-hour delay.
What was wrong with Schmoopy?
They didn't say. Maybe he just gets, like, motion sickness or something?
Did he have to go potty?
Could be. Yeah. He apparently was on the right flight, though. You know, instead of a doctor, is there a veterinarian on the flight?
Yeah, I'll be damned.
There was.
Oh, that's great.
While some flights were grounded by unexpected animal antics, changes on the ground are also reshaping the travel experience, this time with a closer look at motorized sidewalks, which may be disappearing from airports.
Motorized sidewalks.
A new report shows that many terminals are opting out of installing them or removing existing ones, citing high maintenance costs, limited efficiency, and space issues for mixed foot traffic, luggage, and accessibility needs. I always thought those were really cool.
Yeah, I dig those.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's so nice to just stand still and still get to where you're going again. And you know, everybody knows that I hate to travel. And usually if I'm in an airport, you know, I'm not in the greatest mood. I want very little to do with everything that involves air travel. But I still have to thank this 1,000-year-old lady who was eaten alive by one of those moving sidewalks for cheering up my my day. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in person. 3,000-year-old lady, everything she owns, she's got on both shoulders. She's got bags upon purses upon suitcases, and she's just, riding the electric sidewalk, and her family's waving to her, and they, goodbye, great-grandma, and she, goodbye, everybody, and then, and she didn't see the end of the movie. It was just a yard sale. We had the time of our lives watching that happen, just the time of our lives.
It's terrible.
Well, she was fine. She just crashed, and all of her gear went everywhere.
I know what they're saying, though. I mean, when we went on a recent trip to Boston, so at Boston Logan, they had one of those, and it was very thin. I mean, it was just, you couldn't go side by side on this particular one.
Single file action.
Yeah, and you could tell there were people, there's all different levels of want to get to the next place. There's some people that weren't going to move, some people that were in a big hurry, some people that had way too much luggage.
It's fascinating to me that there are some people where the moving sidewalk isn't fast enough for them.
They need to go faster. So I was standing behind my mother-in-law, and, she's older and decided this thing's moving on its own. Why would I walk? That kind of thing. And there's people behind us. I could tell that we're very frustrated.
Did you kind of cross your fingers that your mother-in-law might have a yard sale at the end?
No. Nothing like that. Dana Carvey, 70 today.
Oh, cool.
President Palmer on 24. Sergeant Major Blaine on the unit. Allstate Insurance spokesperson. God on Lucifer. And Pedro Serrano in Major League. Dennis Haysbert, 71.
Wow, he's been on a lot of programs.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Gorilla Tag Mini Game Kid Jesus from Daddy Bear Cop Jesus. I don't have a name for this text, so I'll just read it as written. Happy 40th birthday to me. Woke up with some wicked sciatica today. Is this what getting older feels like? Oofta. Yeah, and it's downhill from there. Happy birthday to Johnny Mac from Extreme Bitch 1 Jesus and the Kids and Cats. And that's 93X News.
Randy Shaver
He farted terribly.
on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
The new network we coming to, we not coming to F around. And since it's the last show, I'm going to say it. We not coming to F around. We kicking ass, we taking names, and we taking over. Let me see that #1 sign for the #1 show ever on TV. And we come over to take over that next network, too.
The #1 show ever on TV. Come on.
These guys are starting to take themselves a little bit too seriously.
I agree. Let's drag Brad Ryder into this nonsense. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, it's our first day back in over a week, so we're miserable. No, we're having a good time. But, it's always tough coming back after some time off. Randy Shaver will be joining us in about 10 minutes. He wanted a little free time this morning to get his golf tournament started out there at Rush Creek Golf Center, or whatever they call it. Today's a big day for Randy Shaver. Big charity golf tournament out there. Ex-jocks as far as the eye can see. And maybe when we talk to Randy, he'll let us know who's wandering around. They got two separate operations. What do they call it in the golf business? Two separate
shotguns.
Two separate shotgun-style tournaments.
Yep.
So they'll be. He goes crazy on this day. Sometimes he comes off really happy about it. Sometimes he comes off like this was the worst decision he's ever made in his entire life.
There are times where he sounds exhausted and not interested.
Yeah, he's just got to be socially drained by the end of today. Imagine having to say hi and engage with all of those people all day long.
It's a lot of work for he and his wife, but it's for a great cause, raising money for his cancer research company. So we'll talk to Randy here shortly. And Ashley, we sent a pregnant lady out to the golf tournament today to talk to folks. And maybe we can get her. Josh and I were thinking maybe from today we come up with a name for her baby. Maybe.
Somebody out there.
Somebody out there come up with a decent name for her baby.
Like if Glenn Perkins or Zach Parisi or somebody we know is out there, they might have something in mind.
So there you go. We'll talk to those folks momentarily. Back to the intro. Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny Smith both dumped F-bombs on the final TNT broadcast of the Inside the NBA television show. And you'll have to explain it to me one more time, whoever knows what's happening. Why is it such a big deal that the show is leaving TNT? Who cares what channel the show is on?
Right.
Because it's going to continue on ESPN.
It's going to be the same four guys doing the same show, except making a lot more money.
So why has this been this long, phony farewell for a show that's not going anywhere other than changing channels?
Makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Unless it's maybe the people they work with, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
No, it's still being filmed in Atlanta with the same crew.
Sure. Well, not everyone. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but there will be some people that won't be on the show anymore.
Yeah, the ESPN people are going to bring in their own folks.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Part of it.
The show is a lot of fun, but they talk basketball and make jokes. Sometimes I wonder if these guys need a reality check.
They did make a big deal. If you watched the last few episodes, especially the last one, they did make kind of a big deal about all the people that they worked with for 20 to 30 years and all the people behind the scenes. And there were a lot of pictures of those people, so I do think some of that, it had to do a little bit with some of that, too, because not all of those people, like we mentioned, will be going over to ESPN.
I get that part of it, and that's nice if they're standing up for the grunts that haul cables around and point cameras and stuff.
I know what you mean, though. It is kind of silly, like, oh, my God, fond farewell. All you got to do is just turn a little to the right, and you're going to see the exact same thing.
Right, and then this we're coming and we're not effing around or something. I mean, again, you talk basketball and tell jokes.
There's been so much hype the last a year or two about how great this show is and all that. I think they've really started to buy into it and thinking about how culturally important they are. But you're right, like. The highlight of the season was when Shaq crapped his pants on TV. You know, it's not like they're doing groundbreaking analysis.
It is a lot of fun. It's a great show. It is. I just don't get this. You know, we're gonna not F around. We're kicking ass and taking names. I mean, relax a little bit.
I do think some of that is they were allowed to do basically whatever they wanted on TNT, and I think there might be some internal fear because it's, when I say internal, among those guys, that now that they're going to ESPN, they might be a little bit more asked to be a little bit more controlled. Does that make sense?
Whatever.
I think that might be part of it.
Makes sense. I like the guys. It's just at times I don't get.
And that might
some
be
of the piss and vinegar that's behind.
Yeah, that might be part of the reason why Shaq said we're not going to F around. I mean, he's basically sending a message to ESPN that we're going to do the show this way, and you're not going to try to tell us how to do it.
Bill Simmons, who is a longtime ESPN guy, now does his own stuff, but he's very popular. He brought up a good point where he said TNT just kind of lets the cameras go on and say, you guys do your segment. ESPN, it's going to be a lot more controlled, where it's like little shorter segments where like, all right, let's go to Charles now with the Duff Beer Fresh Take of the Day and stuff like that, little sponsored gimmicky things rather than just letting them be themselves.
Yep. No, that was part of the message, but yeah.
It's very unlikely that we get to choose our departure here, but let's just say we can go out on our own terms.
Yeah.
Would you want to throw out an F word on the last day or something like that?
Yeah, if it was our last day
this
and
is it.
Yeah, I love to swear.
I know you do.
And it's a damn shame that we can't, and we've never been allowed to, truly cuss on this program. Our last day, we're never coming back. We've put in, let's say we go 10 more years. That will be 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'd like to be completely lawless on that final day. But like you said, these guys are just moving to another friggin' channel.
It is kind of silly.
And Shaq makes a point to use the F word to kind of, show his D size. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. But after 40 years in the business on any job, and you're going away forever? Yeah, make it a lawless one. Absolutely.
Well, there was a time you were almost dead drunk, or literally dropped dead, where you swore and shared your true feelings about a lot of our coworkers.
That's true. I was hammered, almost dead. I do believe I came close to death that morning.
It was bad. I've seen you really, really drunk before. That was probably the drunkest I've ever seen.
That was like alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, I think if you didn't have it, you were as close as you can come.
And I cussed my ass off and attacked a few people on the air.
And this is before we were on the show together. We were already friends.
Right.
And I was kind of getting a little concerned, like, I didn't know how much of it was a bit or real. And then some of the things you were saying, I'm like, this is very real. And I happened to be sitting right next to one of the guys you went off on.
Yeah.
That was very uncomfortable.
That was early in my career, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
They should have gassed me right then and there. But
that was like 96 or 97.
That was during the kind of, shock jock era where our bosses almost wanted you to be dangerous. And these are terms that I'm not using literally. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They wanted you to be this iffy, crazy character. So I got complimented the next day.
I was going to say the boss complimented
me, and I was near dead drunk, cursing uncontrollably, and making personal attacks on coworkers, and I got complimented the next day. But that was during wilder times, Brad Ryder. But you know wild times. You're a professor.
Oh, of course I do.
You know wild times.
Grew up in a farm town. So.
We did have, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, or maybe even a little more now, we had a corporate guy come to town and say, hey, we want to bring that kind of stuff back.
Oh, God.
Everybody's here, but that group didn't show. So we're just going to Brent go out.
Randy's live. Doesn't realize he's live on the radio there.
And I forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about-
he wanted to bring it back. He wanted us to climb a billboard, refuse to get off and stuff like that. And he told us all these different things. You got to do this and this. As soon as he left, our program director said, yeah, we're not going to do any of that.
I can't even talk about that day. That was so stupid. And this guy's like a highly paid, or was a highly paid
big corporate
manager, corporate guy, comes in here at the time.
I think he was on coke.
I think so, too.
The way he was acting.
At the time, Josh was 42 years old, and I was 6 years old. And the guy says, we're going to bring back the wild times. We want you to climb a billboard and refuse to come down, and then the news stations will show up and tell them who you are. What are you friggin' talking about, you coke pig?
And it's like, I think people that listen to the show and have gotten to know us would even wonder, like, when did they become these guys?
Right.
What happened here?
All right, is Randy Shaver home?
I'm here.
You're not home. You're at Rush Creek. Hi, Randy.
Good morning, guys.
Are you all right?
Yeah, it's just been a scramble this morning. We had one of our, where you come in to buy a mulligan and that kind of thing. We had our swipers stopped working, and so we had a long line.
Oh, boy.
So we kind of scrambled this morning to get everybody out on time at 7:30, but we did it. Everybody's here. Everybody showed. So life is good.
Today's a massive day for you. Your big charity golf tournament out at Rush Creek. You have two separate start times, 7:30 and then, 2:30?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. As I said earlier, there's ex-jocks as far as the eye can see showing up to golf and donate and be charitable to Randy Shaver Cancer Research Foundation. How many years now in a row you've been hosting this deal?
I think this is our 30th year.
Running.
We're in that range here. I'm pretty sure that's where we are.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it, Randy, to hit 30 years of this?
It's amazing because, when I was growing up here as a TV person, every Monday in the summer, there was a charity golf event in town. Multiple different causes, and there was not a shortage of golf events. And over time, those have dwindled down quite a bit, and we're probably one of the last ones standing from that time period. So it's a testament to the people that put all this together, from my wife Roseanne and Heather and Rush Creek and their involvement, to have persevered over all this time, and not just persevere, but make it bigger and better every year, and that people want to play in it and come out here. It's pretty special. So.
And last night, we were all lucky enough to be at your charity gala at Medina Entertainment Center.
You guys were there to class up the place.
Of course. Yeah. Brad Ryder was there, and Ashley and Dana and Cubby and myself and Janelle Klein and C. Willie Miles. So this is, two long, hard days for you and your wife and all of your volunteers, but it's all very, very much worth it.
Yeah, and, the bottom line is, if you remember last year, we had terrible rain the night before, and we had to shorten the morning round to just 9 holes because the golf course was almost unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, we're going to have just perfect weather. I know we're supposed to get some rain late tonight, but should not interfere with our afternoon group. So that's the one thing that that's the wild card in all this is the weather. Will it cooperate? And we've got a beautiful day today, so we're very lucky.
And something you said on stage last night at the gala, I think bears repeating. on this here radio show. You mentioned, every year you get some new sponsors, and you mentioned on stage, if you know anybody who wants to help the Randy Shaver Cancer Research Foundation, get a hold of you. And I know our listeners are very charitable people, and they've gotten involved over the years in helping Randy's research foundation.
Sure, we get texts every once in a while saying, how do I become involved?
Yeah, so just another shout out. I'm sure you got a website out there. You can reach us here at the radio station. We can always hook you up if you'd like to donate or help out in any way.
The one thing I heard last night too, Randy, that I wasn't aware of, that is that people basically can just contact your organization if they want to get rid of a snowblower, if they want to get rid of anything, and they can donate that. I wasn't aware of that, and so I think that's another thing that people should be aware of.
Yeah, we just started doing that a few years ago. We'll take those items. And then we'll resell them, and then the money goes towards the charity. So we do have a guy who is very good at turning those kind of things, and just another way for us to gain, more money for the charity. So, yeah.
Here's a text machine. A text machine. That doesn't make any sense. Here's a text message. It simply reads, 30 years. Great job, Randy. Could you give us an idea of how much you've been able to raise over 30 years to help out sick people?
I think that we're somewhere in the range of over 12 million. I think that's kind of where we're at.
Wow.
Early on, we were working for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and so that money was going there. But since we became our own 501(c)(3) in 2003, we've been able to control the money to be able to know where it goes. Because when you do a charity like this, sometimes you give money to a charity, but you never really know where the money goes.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that we were completely transparent so that people knew where their money was going. And so that allows us to be able to do that, which is great.
That was really cool seeing one of the researchers there, by the way. Yesterday you featured one, and we were sitting right next to him, and wow, what a well-spoken guy and some amazing things he's doing. And it was hilarious. You brought up that he hated science as a kid, and that he's now this brilliant researcher, and it's all science. Yeah. He's figuring out some exciting things.
That's an amazing story because he wanted to be a German major. He was interested in German. That was what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And not until he got to college did he discover that he really did like science. And now he's one of the leading researchers in the country.
Unbelievable. Coming up with ideas that no one's ever thought of before, coming up with these brilliant treatments and possibly cures for certain types of cancer. And the guy didn't give two pumps about science until he was 20 years old. That's incredible.
And I love that he looks like a rock star, too.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like what you'd picture.
The long hair, and I know, it's crazy. But, it just goes to show you that, you never really tap into your life potential until, until you're ready to figure out what you want to do. So,
well, it's been said a million times, but, there's not one person that hasn't been touched by cancer in one way or another, and that's why we will always encourage folks to, get a hold of us or get a hold of Randy if you think you can help in any way. So,
yeah, our website is randyshavercancerfund.org. That's where you can find it, and even if you just want to donate, there's a button on there that you can donate to our charity. I think it bears repeating that we allocated $1.3 million in January, and that money all stays in Minnesota. We operate on 6% expenses, so 94 cents of every dollar that we raise goes to the charity. So if you're interested, we're always looking for sponsors and partners and people that want to get involved with us and get involved for the right reasons, because we're here to raise money and support Minnesota's cancer community. So
we're getting multiple text messages now. Multiple text messages coming in saying thank you for what you've done and and all kinds of kind words. Now, as far as golfing this morning, Ashley is going to be golfing today at your tournament, and she's there somewhere. I don't know if we'll hear
Is she
from...
on the phone?
Yeah, she's on the phone.
Oh,
Okay.
Ashley, are you there?
Yeah. Actually, I just walked past Randy and waved to him.
Oh, yeah?
Did he wave back?
And then he did. And
That's
then I got
good.
away from him because it was weird hearing him in two places at once.
So you had to move far away. Give us
we're across the bar from each other.
give us a pregnant lady's take on what you've seen so far over there at.
Well, I haven't seen much because I just got here. And
Yeah.
I figured out where the bathrooms are, of course.
You had to go potty.
Yeah, you do pee a lot more.
Yeah.
It is absolutely beautiful. It's probably going to be disgustingly hot today, but
And you're going to
That'll be all
golf. You're going to swing a golf club over that barrel that you've got around your waist. now.
oh yeah. Well, the last time I went golfing was maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I did great. So it actually prevents me from swinging too hard.
Okay.
So
You don't want. So you maybe in the past you've had a problem over swinging.
yeah, exactly.
Now this will limit that a little bit.
Yeah, it restricts my movements a little bit. So
Okay, and I believe Janelle will be joining
the afternoon.
The
Janelle's
crowd
out here this afternoon. Yeah.
Afternoon. Brad Ryder, why aren't you golfing?
What?
Why aren't you golfing?
I don't know.
Oh!
This is kind of like when our boss asked why he wasn't invited to Dana's wedding. It just became very awkward.
I don't have another answer for that. I don't know.
Well, then we'll just talk sports.
Well, who are some of the athletes out there today?
Yeah.
Randy? And the first crew here.
Our morning group has got Joe Mauer is out here this morning. Paul Molitor, Dick Bramer is out here playing this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Dick was at the event last night, which was great. John Randall is out here this morning. Mike Muscala, the former longtime NBA player. Jim Peterson's out here this morning, your favorite.
Yeah, I love Jim.
He's awesome. Who else? Marnie Gellner's out here. I was very happy to get Marnie out here. She, she's a cancer survivor, and her and I, we've talked quite a few times about those kind of things, and her schedule's never worked out to be able to get out here, but she's out here this morning for the first time, which is great. And there's, a bunch of other people that, a lot of regulars. Quinn Carroll is out here, former Gopher offensive lineman. I think Tony Oliva's out here. I know Juan Berenguer is here.
Oh my God!
Oh, awesome!
And I think Tony was going to come out. Now I'm not sure about that. I did not see Tony this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Tony and Juan always ride together in the carts, and they have for the last 15 years maybe. But I did not see Tony this morning. So once I'm done with you guys, I'm gonna jump in my cart and go out and see people, and I'm hoping that Tony is out here today.
That's awesome. Absolutely
and then
awesome.
This afternoon we got a whole other group of people coming out to play. Randall McDaniel's going to be out here this afternoon. I haven't seen Randall in a long time. He used to be a regular in this event, but Randall's a school teacher, and so he's never been able to. His schedule has always been wonky since he retired from football and began teaching, and so to get him out here today will be fun.
Man, that would suck to have a school teacher that's 6'6" and 348 pounds.
Well, you get your homework done, I'd imagine.
I suppose he'd be a...
You know what's so great about him, though, is when he retired from the NFL as a Hall of Fame football player and began teaching, he never once talked about what he did in his previous life. So those students really, unless they asked him, he would never go and tell them that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not him, right? So he's just one of those special people. He really is. He's one of those really good guys. So,
Hey, Ashley, is bathing in a pond good for a pregnancy?
Maybe I can go in a lake. It's pretty similar, right?
Well, if you have to stop and pee somewhere and there's nothing else, nowhere to go, you just go plant yourself in the pond.
A couple of listeners were wondering if you wanted to, revisit Randy's
reenact
Randy's near drowning from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Brad Ryder was there.
I was there. Yeah.
I am very unsafe with a golf cart, so.
Oh, don't be
You like to
crashing
go
in.
fast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to go too fast.
All right. Well, what a wonderful event you got cooking there, Randy Shaver. We know you're very busy. So let's cover, what do we got going on? Oh, we had a week off, so we never really got to talk about the ugly ending of the Timberwolves season.
We actually had a funny text on that from Loves Wisco Shiza. Said, you guys were off last week. Huh. Didn't realize it at all. Didn't notice the difference.
They didn't know.
No, you were off last week.
Not a pretty end for the Timberwolves, so the NBA final is going to be Pacers-Thunder.
Yeah.
Game 1 Thursday night. Oklahoma City has the home court advantage. Both clubs seeking a second crack at an NBA title, not counting the Thunder's days as the Seattle Supersonics. Both of these.
I mean, if you're,
my God, it's the Thunder.
If you're an NBA coast guy, East or West Coast, you're probably not interested in the matchup.
F those people.
Right? But
F the
if
East
you
and
are-
West Coast
if you're a basketball fan, if you like the game and you like watching good basketball, this is a great matchup. And, I mean, I don't see the Pacers beating OKC. I think OKC, this is their time. But if anybody can give them a good run, it's going to be Indiana. They're playing phenomenal. They're deep, just like OKC. They've got an outstanding bench. They got a couple of stars. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. As far as the Timberwolves go, I don't know, Brad. What do you think? I think it's going to be an off-season of change. I think it's going to be an off-season of change.
Yeah,
I think
see,
they're
that's what I was going to bring up is after they lost last week, hanging out at the beer hall and whatnot, everyone was asking, well, what are they going to do? What do they need? What are they going to change? And, I mean, one side of me says, hell, they've made the Western Conference Finals in back-to-back years. It ended in kind of a disgusting way. They were just blown the hell off the court by the Thunder in that final game. But, there are certain decisions they have to make with free agents, but should there really be that much change? The other side of me says, yeah, maybe there needs to. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think I was just going to say, I think the first thing they've got to figure out is how can they get those young guys on the court.
Yeah.
They need to get Shannon on the court. They need to figure out Dillingham. Is he their point guard of the future? And they got to create avenues for those guys to get meaningful playing time. Right?
You're talking about Terrence Shannon. You're talking about Rob Dillingham.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying is what I was going to say. They need to develop their bench a little bit more because they ran into situations, not only in the playoffs, but even in the regular season, where their bench was getting outplayed and outscored because they're not that deep. And you talked about how Indiana is so deep, and the Timberwolves aren't deep. I mean, they go about, even on a good regular season game night, they only go about 8 deep most nights, and they can't do that. They can't match up with other teams when they don't have guys they can trust coming off the bench. So I think that's a.
So you're not saying Kevin Durant,
but it's not. Well, I'm not saying that, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what they end up giving up, but I just don't know if that's. Apparently, according to a lot of sources, they tried really hard at the trading deadline to figure something out to bring him in. So
they just don't have a lot of. I mean, we've talked about this. They don't have a lot of draft capital. They don't have a lot of things to give up, and they're kind of hamstrung with contracts too. When you don't have a lot of depth, you don't have a lot to give up to get other people, and they don't have a lot of draft picks to give up to get people. So they're a little bit hamstrung there too.
So you're saying you're both saying maybe a deeper club gets them over the hill. Okay, what about free agents? Julius Randle, Naz Reid? No.
Well, I don't. I think Naz Reid's the big one, and I think that he wants to stay here. Whether they can afford to have him stay is the other question. He's due for a big raise. I'm not so sure Nickeil Alexander-Walker's back next year.
Duh.
But again, they've got to figure out a way to create, as Brad said, depth. And You use those draft picks. We saw Shannon play.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the kid can play.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs to play. He needs to get quality minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And Dillingham, the court, we're still not sure about Dillingham. There were spurts during the regular season where he played phenomenal, but then there were times he disappeared or didn't play at all. And so they've got, and the other part of this too is the ownership change. That'll happen this summer. And so what will the philosophy be under the new ownership?
Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in all of this. I mean, the good news is you've got an incredible core of players. You know that you've got a great place to build from. It's just whether Rudy Gobert is part of that. It's whether, actually, is Julius Randle going to be a part of that?
Mm-hmm.
I think Jaden McDaniels should be untouchable. They should not be trying to move Jaden McDaniels. He needs to be here. He's a great player, and he's a great complement to Edwards. And then that's another part of that too, right? Edwards has got to figure out how to get to the next level. How do you get to the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander level? What do you have to do?
Get some more fouls.
Get there? Because he outplayed him in that series. Shai Gilgeous, say what you want about all the foul merchants and all that BS.
Yeah.
The guy can play. The guy's a great player. And not that Ant's not. He is. But I don't disagree with what Barkley said the other night during one of the broadcasts. Ant, we shouldn't be trying to force Ant as one of the faces of the NBA. He hasn't earned it yet. These other guys have earned it. And I don't disagree with that comment. I think Ant's going to get there, but he hasn't quite earned it yet.
I like Kendrick Perkins a lot, but wasn't he made fun of quite a bit? He went on some rant on television about how every great NBA player has been a father figure or something, a role model. Well, what was it, Josh, you remember? It was something about a father figure. And he said, Kendrick Perkins said, in reference to Anthony Edwards, he needs to be more of a fatherly figure. And he said, family man was what he said, a family man. And he said, guys like LeBron, guys like Magic Johnson. A family man? He was banging everything in a skirt from 1979 to 19 for Christ.
While we were off, he's apologized for that. Perkins has apologized.
He doesn't need to apologize. Whatever. He got a little wound up. That one cracked me up. Magic Johnson, the family man.
Probably a guy with one of those roles where he's naming off a couple names and just went one too far.
And in the NFL, we've got Adrian Peterson, Antonio Brown.
Oh my God!
Hey, Ashley.
I was going to say quick about the NBA Finals.
Finals.
A little bit. The two, if you like basketball, the two teams that are playing, you should be a little bit encouraged by the style of play that they have and the way that they play. I mean, they play defense. They're deep. They don't shoot 55 3-pointers a game.
Yep.
And so if you like basketball and you want to see a little bit of a change maybe in philosophy in some of these teams that are almost there, maybe this will be a turning point a little bit where we can dial it back and we don't have, like I said, 63 pointers a game, and teams can see that you can get to the finals by playing this way.
I actually think that there might be a trend going back that direction because it's like everything. It's like the NFL, right? You look at the Philadelphia Eagles and their success. Well, how did they get there? They draft linemen.
Yep. My favorite football team.
And now look what the Vikings are doing. Look what teams are. Everything is a trend, right? There's a trend there. OKC won a game against the Timberwolves and shot only 23s.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they shot.
Randy just mentioned my favorite football team.
Old time basketball in some ways, right? So I agree. I think I hope that's the way it goes. Hope there's a trend heading that direction.
I hear you. Hey, we got to take a break here real quick. I mean, not a commercial break, but we got to shift gears just for a minute. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder, what are you guys doing on June 27th?
I'll be in Las Vegas.
Brad Ryder.
What day of the week is that?
I don't know.
Friday.
It's a Friday night.
That's our next big party. The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show Independence Day Booze Cruise coming up June 27th. We've been waiting to dump this information on our listening audience. We're setting sail by dam on the St. Croix like we've been doing for how many years in a row now? 25, 6, 7. We can never remember how many years we've been doing this.
Probably 25.
The Independence Day Half-Ass Morning Show Booze Cruise, St. Croix, June 27th. We board the Avalon at Stillwater Riverboats. You can't buy tickets. The only way to get on the boat is by listening to 93X for your chance to win. And all of this is courtesy of the wonderful people at Warner's Dock and Red Wing Shoes. Here's your first crack. Text DRINK, D-R-I-N-K, to 651-989-9393 for your chance to win a 4-pack to our Independence Day Booze Cruise. Again, Friday. It's a Friday, Brad Ryder. June 27th, Stillwater Riverboats. And again, Warner Dock, Red Wing Shoes. We thank those folks. Up and down. Keep listening, because, again, the only way to get on board is to listen and win. And you can go to 93x.com for more information.
Strippers, drinking contests, sex in the bathrooms, loud music, all that ended about 15 years ago. It's much more pleasurable.
It's a leisurely stroll.
It is a different boat.
Nightmare.
It is a little different. But we're very excited to be able to throw one of these parties again, year after year.
And they're very
after year.
successful. You guys, a lot of people show up for that.
Yeah, we get a few people on
it's
that
a blast.
Son of a bitch.
Our boat cruises are a lot of fun.
Ashley, I just had a great idea. Ashley, Randy Shaver's calling in from Rush Creek for his big golf tournament today, charity golf tournament. Ashley is there as well. Smash, you haven't had a chance to look around much just yet because we got you on the telephone.
Yeah.
But I just thought of a great friggin' idea. And Randy Shaver, a lot of folks say to me, they say, Randy really has loosened up quite a bit since he retired from television. Okay? Let's see how friggin' loose you are. Randy, please go along with this bit. Ashley, what I would like you to do is lift up your shirt to expose your pregnant belly, okay? Okay. And you kind of hold it. Are you at the point where you kind of hold it all the time?
Oh,
yet?
I see her holding it constantly.
Okay. I want you to run. I want you to run angrily, or just fast walk angrily around the golf course and just scream, "Where the F is Randy Shaver?"
He's gonna meet his son someday.
Where is he? Where is the son of a bitch? And you're walking angrily and you're carrying your pregnant belly.
He hasn't responded to my text messages in 7 months.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him in 9 months.
Where is he?
You're telling me to do all of this, and Randy's wife is standing was standing 4 feet away.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't mess with her.
Are both of you comfortable with that bit?
I'm going to sit this out. I'm going to see if I find a different pregnant one, though.
Although from what Roseanne said last night, maybe she wants a break. Maybe she wants Randy to go off with you for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, true.
You can be more subtle about it. Maybe just one person that walks by. Again, you have to, it's quite obvious that you are with child, but, have the belly out.
I have to be angry.
Yeah, but you don't have to be, you could just be just one person, just say, do you know where Randy Shaver is?
Or if you can cry on demand, that would be even better.
Oh my God, that would be great.
Yeah, I can cry on command for sure.
All right, the Twins, I think, deserved better over the weekend in Seattle. They played extras in 2 out of their 3 games. They made some nice comebacks, clutch hits, great pitching and whatnot. Unfortunately, they lost 2 of 3. But
Seattle's a good team.
They are.
They're in first place in the West, so it was a good series.
Mm-hmm. It was a shame it turned out the way it did. Chris Paddock. This guy is just a completely different person, a different player, a different pitcher. Yesterday he had a great outing, just absolutely great, but they couldn't put any runs on the board. Tonight they start a 4-game series in Sacramento, California against the Athletics. We get to watch them in that little minor league park.
Right, at AAA park.
Oh, yeah, 2 of their last 3 series now have been in minor league parks.
Where the hell?
They're down in Tampa.
Tampa Bay, yeah. Unfortunately, the games don't start till 9 o'clock, which sucks, but the Twins are hanging in there. We'll talk to Glenn Perkins tomorrow. Is Glenn out there? No, he's working. He's not out there, Randy?
He is not out here today. His daughter it's her last day of high school today. So he was hanging with her today. So
also, while we were on vacation, the Minnesota Frost won their second consecutive ladies hockey championship, the Walter Cup. That was while we were off work, and they had a hell of a party and everything. Congratulations to that hockey club.
Great.
Stanley Cup final begins Wednesday night. So the NBA is Thursday. Stanley Cup final Wednesday night. Yep. Panthers, Oilers, repeat of last year's showdown. What I remember about last year.
Florida just demolished their way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
They did all right along the way. Here's what I remember about last year's final. Of course, Florida won the first 3 games, and Edmonton forced a 7th game, which was quite interesting, and I had forgotten that till a buddy of mine brought it up over the weekend at a beer hall. But here's what I remember about last year's Stanley Cup final. It was the Panthers against one line. Edmonton had one line. Yeah. And that line was friggin' cooked by the end of the series, and there's only so much one good line can do against 3.5 good lines, which is basically Florida's got such a deep team. So, if the Oilers, if they've got a little help beyond that top line, they got a chance. I still say Florida's by far the best team in the NHL. So Edmonton's got to prove me and other people who think like me wrong. Are they deep enough? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Randy's got to get going here shortly. What else could... speaking of babies, one of Philip Rivers' 10 children is now a 4-star high school quarterback type of a guy.
Yeah.
One of his 10 children.
Well, he had good odds. One of them was going to make it.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say 1 out of 10. Yeah.
He and his... I've always loved Philip Rivers. He's such a goofy type of a cat. He and his wife, Tiffany, have 10 kids. The 3 oldest children were 10 kids. The 3 oldest were girls. The oldest son now is officially a high school quarterback, and he just visited the University of Texas. He's a big shot. He's a recruit. And he visited Texas. Boy, that'd be fun to have.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he's as competitive as his dad was, he's going to have a great career. Mm-hmm. His dad not only could sling it, but he was super, super competitive.
He was. So. And you know what, Randy Shaver, I'm glad you brought that up. Philip Rivers was able to be super, super competitive and not a total dick like Michael Jordan.
Never swore.
No.
Right. Not a curse word.
Never intentionally humiliated people with his competitiveness. He was an adult about it, unlike Michael Jordan. Sorry, I had to blow up again about Michael Jordan because I think the guy's a prick. This kid, his name is Gunnar Rivers. He plays for his dad's high school football team. Phil was only able to pump out 3 sons.
Well, you know what? After 3 daughters to start with, I'm sure he was like, I got to hit the son jackpot at some point.
7 daughters and 3 sons is what he's got over there.
Yeah.
All right, Randy Shaver. We'll let you go. Go have a wonderful day. Tell everyone we said hello.
I will. Thanks, guys.
And we'll talk to you tomorrow when you're completely exhausted.
You might get a text from me tonight that says, I may be sleeping in.
Thanks, Randy. And Brad Ryder, we'll talk to you later, too.
Okay. Sounds good.
You guys have a great day.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
On 93X.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Dr. P. Jesus.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
All right, let's get our bro into the mix. It's 8:34 here on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. He's here to help. If you have a problem with your voluptuous body, if you haven't been feeling well lately, you can ask our next guest a question. The number is 651-989-9393. You can ask our next guest all about your problem. He's Dr. James Parnell, otherwise known as Dr. P. Jesus. Welcome back, pimp.
Hey, glad to be here. It seems like it's been a while, but I know it's only been 2 weeks.
It's only been 2 weeks, but yet when you walk in, we're all over each other.
Exactly.
Like it's been years.
It has been.
That's the sign of a solid friendship.
You know what I'm not doing today?
What's that?
Golfing at Randy Shaver's tournament.
You didn't get invited either.
Nope.
But you go to his pickleball event.
That's true. Yeah, I was invited to that.
Well, maybe it's because he knows you are skilled at pickleball, and when it comes to swinging a golf club, you suck eggs.
It could be. But mostly I think it's because he doesn't think of me.
Well, that's a terrible way to look at things.
Well, it's just fine.
I mean, the guy's trying to raise money, but still, he doesn't want to be made to look like a jackass. And if, like, you and I are out there golfing, Randy's going to look like a jackass.
Like, why would you want these people at your tournament? That's a good point. Good point.
Don't worry about it, Dr.
No,
P.
I'm not. I'm happy.
People like you.
They do?
They do. Our listeners are always excited to have you on the program. Many questions have come in already.
Wow, look at that.
2 sheets of paper right here. 651-989-9393 is how you text a question for Dr. P. And I got a couple of weird questions, too, which I enjoy. We'll start with something a little more straight down the, how do you say it? A listener says, I track my heart rate with my Apple Watch, and I have been doing that for years. Interesting. I notice a pretty significant decrease in my resting and active heart rate when I'm not consuming alcohol for a few days. Is this normal? So they're saying when they're not drinking, their heart rate is a little more manageable, or how should I say, I don't know, just not as powerful, I guess. Decreased resting and active heart rate.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
booze is tough on our bodies.
It is. It certainly is. And I mean, I guess, if it's moderate drinking, then it's hard to believe it would make much of a difference. I mean, in the extreme, people who have become so used to having alcohol in their system that they actually have withdrawal. I mean, one of the major things that happens is your blood pressure goes up and your pulse goes up as you are going into withdrawal, basically.
That's if you're hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, and so I guess there's probably a milder version of that if your body's used to having alcohol. I wouldn't think it'd be extreme, and they didn't mention how much they normally drink.
No.
But yeah, I mean, alcohol is, it's a drug, it's kind of weird that it's been legal for a long time, except for that period, whatever that was in the 1920s, but
right.
It does take its toll on your body. I mean, it really gives the liver a workout, and it's probably not really great for any of us.
Yeah, I mean, when I was really into the beer drinking, hitting it hard, I noticed it at least an amateur's perspective, I felt as if my heart had to work harder for everything. Yeah. And even when I was resting, the sumbitch would be pumping like hell, probably some sort of recovery. You know what I mean? When I would sober up for a couple of days, it seemed to me that my heart was pumping much harder.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's interesting. So when you think about withdrawal from drugs, I always picture the movie Trainspotting when I think of heroin.
So do I.
Yeah. Never saw it, but I hear it's disgusting.
It's disgusting, but it has an incredible portrayal of him going through heroin withdrawal, locked in his bedroom.
What about the Dewey Cox story? Was that when he's going through withdrawal? Was that a real? Don't worry about it.
I don't know that one.
So if you do know the movie, that is one hell of a funny scene. But anyway.
But the thing is, heroin withdrawal can be horrible, but you don't die from it. You just are very sick and very miserable. Alcohol withdrawal, you actually can die. You can die. I mean, so it's unique.
Damn.
So it's a major thing for people who really drink a lot to just stop. So
Sure.
That's why getting help with alcohol abuse and sort of having a plan and helping get detoxed is important.
I would say I think it's pretty normal if you lay off the hooch for a few days that your heart rate seems to dummy down a little bit. That's just me.
Yeah.
This texter says if your father had prostate cancer in his 60s, both grandfathers had prostate cancer in their 70s, would you suggest getting checked out sooner in life? They're 40 right now.
I mean, I'd have to look up what if there's an actual recommendation for that. So it said 50s for a father?
60s.
Oh, 60s. Okay. I mean,
I've had prostate checks. When I was like in my 20s.
I don't know that
professionally.
I think it's going to be a conversation with your primary care doctor. I mean, there are some genetic tests that can be done to look for increased risk of prostate cancer, and that's a fairly significant history for that. So that's a possibility. I think it really is just going to be a joint decision. I don't know that there's going to be a specific age. But probably it would be recommended to start early if you are planning on screening for it.
It seems like maybe half or more of the physicals I've had, they just do it.
Well, wait a minute now, Josh. You mentioned that you had prostate exams when you were in your 20s. Didn't we come to the conclusion that you were molested?
Well, because I did have one when I was much younger. Well, I should say I was told I was going to have one. And I had quickly asked my dad, like, hey, I mean, I was of the age where my dad had to drive me, So my dad said, no, you're not going to have that done.
Whenever we've talked about this, and I'm sure we've had Dr. P in the room before when we talked about this, was there any reason why some doctor wanted to prostate Cubby when he was friggin' 15, 18? What was going on there?
I mean, I guess I don't know. That's before I went to medical school. I mean, there was a very sort of conservative approach to medicine and stuff like that, where you literally would do a full physical on everybody, and they taught to do that on women too, on a vaginal and rectal exam at the same time, which seems it's sort of like
wait.
I know. Yeah.
This was something they did back in the day?
Well, it's just, I think it's a very comprehensive approach to your physical exam. And that's not, I mean, I was trained to, do it a little bit more reasonably. I mean, there's not really the yield on, doing prostate exams on 1,000 18-year-olds. You're probably not ever going to find anything. So why are you doing it? But for this guy, it just has to be a conversation, because the problem with prostate cancer is that it can be there and be mild, and it may not end your life. And so, unlike a lot of other cancers, it's a little bit debatable how you approach it. If you want to be aggressive, then you absolutely have exams, you have blood tests, maybe you have genetic testing.
I do the blood test every time. They usually just throw it in with whatever else they're doing at the physical.
Yeah, and it's just not a perfect test. I guess that's the simplest way to...
Either one isn't, or...?
Neither is perfect, no. I mean, the PSA can be elevated because your prostate gets enlarged, or you have mild prostatitis infection. And so it is a marker of cancer, but it's not... it doesn't correlate perfectly.
Okay.
Agent Cop Jesus wants to know if he can stop in and you'll do an in-studio prostate exam, because he hasn't had one in a while.
Oh, that'd be lovely to watch.
As long as he gets here in 15 minutes.
You can go lights and sirens.
Oh, boy.
Here's an interesting question. I'm 52 years old. We got Dr. P. Jesus in studio here taking your questions at 651-989-9393. Listener says, I'm 52 years old. I have ADHD, pretty much had it my whole life. I was on Ritalin as a child. I'm now having a hard time remembering things like town names. Is having ADHD a symptom of early dementia?
I have never heard a correlation between attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and dementia.
Okay.
I think if you were a kid who had attention deficit problems and it really was that, you're likely an adult that has it too. And so if that's gotten worse or is a problem, then focusing and trying to think of things like that would be possibly more difficult. But yeah, not truly. I have never heard of like a predisposition to Alzheimer's or other kinds of dementia when it comes to ADD. During the little break, I can take a look and see, but I think I would have heard of that.
Fair enough.
Ramtucky She's has had an ear infection, went through 2 rounds of antibiotics. Pain's gone, but still fluid in the ear, one of the ears. Ringing, rumbling sound. Should I go back in? She has a consult set up, but not until July.
I guess it's... Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think go back. So if she has fluid behind her eardrum is what she's saying, I think, as opposed to fluid in the ear canal. It sort of depends what they were treating. Were they treating a middle ear infection, which is otitis media? That's what kids typically get, when your kid has an ear infection. It's not the ear canal. It's between or on the other side of the eardrum. And there's the eustachian tube that goes from that area behind the eardrum to our throat and get blocked by various things, allergies or infection. And so she may just have some problem with that eustachian tube. It's called eustachian tube dysfunction.
Sorry to interrupt. She said, she got back to us, said middle ear infection.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little unusual also in an adult to have a significant problem with that, just because in kids, it's the angle of the eustachian tube is one factor. Basically, if you picture this tube going from your ear to your throat, in kids, it's sort of angled up. And so things don't drain out very well. As we get older and our anatomy changes or proportions change, the tube goes more down, and so it tends to just drain.
Everything drops when we get older.
Yeah, exactly, including your eustachian tube. Right? That's funny. The old man's eustachian tubes are unbelievable. Yeah,
they're beautiful. They're as wide as a freeway. Yeah.
So it'd be good to know: is she doing saline irrigation, like nasal? She tried any decongestants, things like that. I mean, there are occasionally people have to have some sort of procedure done to get fluid out of there, but that would be unusual in an adult. Definitely unusual.
Okay.
This person just wants to know if this is normal. They got their prostate exam and they got the results in the middle of it by the doctor showing them 2 thumbs up. Is that a normal practice?
Oh, jeez.
Wait a minute. Who's doing the exam?
What the hell?
What?
We got a couple minutes left. I mentioned I received a couple questions, Dr. P, that were a little out of the ordinary, but that's what makes them fun. So this one, I don't know if you heard us tell this story a few weeks ago, where a woman was internally decapitated. Do you recall that? We told that story maybe in the Stupid News a few weeks ago, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. We told it a few weeks ago. It was a freak accident, and her skull separated from her spine internally to where, her head fell back, and it just by chance, a doctor caught her head before it would have just snapped off and fallen behind her, right? It was a really disturbing yet fascinating story. Now, a listener texted in, 27-year-old guy. He said, when we were telling that story on the air, well, he's only 27. Anyway, you'll understand where I'm going with that in a minute. When we were telling that story on the air, this listener said, I became so ill, I nearly passed out and crashed while driving down 35W. I'm sorry, I'm happy that didn't actually happen. I had to take 10 to 15 minutes to recover on the side of the road. I've generally never been sensitive to that kind of stuff, but I feel like it's gotten worse as I get older. He's only 27. Is there any medical explanation for becoming more squeamish with age? That was an effed up story.
Yeah.
It was sickening.
Some of the details are pretty
it kind of gives me goosebumps thinking about that. So,
In the good kind?
No, the oh God. Just so horrifying. I guess, men in general.
That's a difficult question to answer.
It is. Men in general tend to have more physical symptoms with squeamishness.
Oh, yeah?
Like
we reel or we ball up or
right,
something?
or we pass out.
We pass out.
Seriously?
Yeah. Men are more likely, especially younger men, are more likely to have vasovagal syncope, basically, which, you see blood and you kind of go, woo, blah. But, it doesn't have to be visual. It could be the thought of someone's spine being severed inside their neck.
God
their
dang.
head rolling, So, I mean, I think
maybe he's a very creative person. Like he was able to picture it so
possibly,
well.
Sure.
Possibly. But yeah, I think, if anything, it probably gets better. Because I think for young men, it's partly just like hormones raging, and their bodies are just really like responsive to that kind of stuff. Oh.
Do you think it could be he's a very nice person? He's very empathetic?
He could be. I mean, I think that it is to some degree empathy for that. Yeah. So no, I think it's it's like a complicated reaction. I'm glad he got off the road.
Jesus.
Yeah, no doubt.
If he starts to hear a story like that next time, maybe turn down the volume.
I can't. I just picturing the guy hearing this story, and it affects him so badly he almost crashes his car. My goodness. That is interesting, though, to hear that men physically react to gross, graphic things more so than women do.
Or even
sight of blood, things like that.
But even getting a vaccine. I mean, in the office, generally, you got a younger guy. You don't necessarily have him sitting on the edge of the exam table to get a vaccine. You probably pull out the legs, have him lay back, because he's more than likely going to get a woo.
We're a bunch of chicken.
Wow.
Bunch of chickens.
We just get woozy. I do have to follow up one thing that came in earlier, because I was surprised. So ADD, there is some evidence that it does increase the risk of dementia later in life. It sounds like it's just in the last year or two that evidence has sort of come out. I don't think it's very well established. The same study talked about medications for ADD can actually be helpful for early Alzheimer's too. So it's sort of questioning whether there could be some genetic tendency for some people with ADD to have an increased risk of Alzheimer's. But it's not, I think it's not something that you need to worry about if you have ADD and think you're going to definitely have dementia. But but if people have memory concerns, getting in and talking to your doctor, there's some very basic sort of interview questions that can kind of help assess whether you're having trouble actually storing new information, in the moment, and recall and things like that. That can be a screen.
We get a lot of texts like this from Iowa Sucks Jesus. Folks are very curious about Ozempic and the like. Different, those drugs that end up people losing a lot of weight. What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, it is pretty remarkable what they do. I mean, they are diabetes medicines that essentially have the secondary benefit of helping you lose weight.
And a lot of it, it seems.
They can.
Do you have to do certain things? Like, on certain programs, you still have to start walking or eat differently?
Come on.
Is that how it is with Ozempic, or is it just a magic deal?
I don't know that it's magic. It changes sort of the hormonal makeup of the whole, hunger and satiety, experience of that's the thing. People.
Oh, so that's what it does. It just kills your appetite?
Basically.
Oh, that makes sense.
It also,
that sounds nice. So you don't need that diet and exercise.
But it's also it kind of changes your, even the brain chemistry of people, especially people who really focus on food.
I'm definitely one of those people.
I've heard people talk that it just sort of takes that away to some extent.
Huh.
So it can be subtle. I mean, they are, I think it's still kind of early days with those medicines, though. I mean, they've been around for diabetes for a while. It's pretty new that they're being used for the weight loss. And unfortunately, most people who go off of it gain the weight back. Long-term side effects from those medications, I think, are still
That's what I'd be worried about.
We're not 100% sure.
Seems almost too good
just
to be
because they haven't been around long enough.
It does sound too good to be true. You don't have to at least what Dr. P was saying, or we're not 100% sure. You don't necessarily have to exercise.
I mean,
that sounds awesome.
But if it's killing your appetite, you're just eating less.
Right.
And as we all know, abs are made in the kitchen.
Speaking of diet, real quick before we go, this one sounded interesting to me too. Dr. P, my son woke up this weekend after sleeping a few hours longer than normal. He was shaking uncontrollably until we got him some breakfast. Seems like a low blood sugar deal, but this was the first time this has ever happened. Is this something we should look into or be concerned about? His shaking went away about 15 minutes after he ate.
How old was he again?
Didn't say.
Teenager?
Didn't say. Our son. My son. Our son.
Their son.
I mean,
seventh son of the seventh son.
Uncontrollably. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
You know, you wouldn't. Typically, you don't have hypoglycemia unless you're. I mean, the most common reason is because you're on medication for diabetes and you've overdosed yourself.
Capri Sun.
Say what?
Nothing.
Capri Sun? You're just doing some word association.
Naming,
he could have been hungover. I mean, that would be more likely. Or something
right
like
now,
that.
the guy's going, he's 6. What's the matter with you? We don't know how old the kid, but sure, if it's a teenage kid, he could be hungover.
Yeah.
3 years old, they got back.
Oh, 3 years old.
Oh, 3? Okay, shaking uncontrollably. Very strange.
So then you should look into this.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a little hard to understand what they mean by shaking uncontrollably. Like shivering? Is he like completely out of it? I mean, you think seizure? Does he have a fever and he's got rigors basically, or rigors? I never have been quite sure how to say that word, but shaking from chills.
Better take this kid in.
Yeah, I think so.
Could it be blood sugar? I mean, I know people that, like my wife, will kind of start shaking if she doesn't eat.
It's to actually have blood sugar low enough to. I don't. Shaking isn't really a thing. I mean, when your wife, she's probably not truly hypoglycemic in terms of off the scale of below what's considered normal, like 60 of the blood glucose. But some people may be more sensitive to it, and especially if they have carbohydrates or whatever, exercise a lot, then their blood sugars maybe do go down. But that just sounds. I certainly wouldn't write that off as maybe one episode of hypoglycemia. Something funny's going on.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time as usual, Dr.
As
P.
always.
Jesus. Have a good day. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, take care.
Shout out to B-Rad G Malibu Baby Jesus. Thanks for listening.
What was that name again?
B-Rad G Malibu Baby Jesus.
Damn.
Chasing the Carrot Jesus texting a birthday shout out to his smoking hot wife, Crafty in Bed Jesus. Happy belated birthday to Brooke, turned 18 Saturday, from Adam and Mom, side chick to the main chick Jesus. Happy belated birthday to that handsome son of a gun, more anxiety than hair Jesus, from his hot wife. Happy 60th to bisexual folder operator Jesus. Happy birthday to D&D Jesus. It's great to be back. Thank you for coming back with us. It'd be an honor if you join us again tomorrow. In the meantime, have a great one.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.